He was basically like, "Do you guys want a tour?" And I was like,
Yeah.
"I'm standing." But bear in mind, once again, I'm standing there in like a red stripy top with like all my like braces, about to go and sing "Happy Birthday" to a 5-year-old who doesn't give a fuck. And I'm like, "Yes, I do want to go on tour, Tom."
Welcome, everyone, to This Was The Scene, the podcast that takes a look back at the late 90s, early 2000 punk scene. I am your host, Mike Doyle. Before we start, if you want to help the podcast out, just go to patreon.com/thiswasthescene, and you can sign up for $1 a month, which will help keep this thing going. It's really not a lot of money, but it's just, it's helpful, which is pretty cool. Douglas was a pop-punk band from the UK who put out one release on GFY Records, which is Tom Petty from Bigwig's record label, or was his label. They toured the US 2 times with Bigwig and then focused the rest of their time in the UK. This one is a super deep cut, and there's like nothing out there on the internet about these guys. Just you could find them on Discogs for Persona, and then there's a couple videos on YouTube with their songs, but that's like pretty much it. But Jamie and Phil are fucking hilarious, so you will definitely love this interview. Thank you yet again to Monkey, who was episode 6 for the connection to Jamie and Phil, who I got on the Skype, and this is what we chat about. Having no photos from back then, busking, getting on GFY Records, going on tour with only stickers, playing Canada with Bigwig, going from Doug to Douglas, never playing Europe, the serial killer comp, working for At the Drive-In, Matt Gray, and a ton more. Make sure you check out Phil's illustrations on Instagram. It's PM Illustration, where you can see his work. It's really fucking good, so definitely go check that out. I don't really have anything else to promote, so we're just going to jump into this one. Feel free to subscribe, leave a review, and share this with anyone who would love some punk rock nostalgia. With that said, let's get started. Since the whole premise of the podcast is all about DIY and like the punk scene, so even the recordings are pretty DIY sounding.
Probably the kind of way you want it to sound, really. Like, it sounds like you're in a toilet.
Yeah, as long as I sound good, I don't give a shit about anyone.
Yeah. Well, you could mic us up and put all the effects. We'll never sound good. So I mean,
yeah, I mean, I had a little compression and things like that, but yeah, man. I mean, so actually, real quick, do you guys have an Instagram? Because I try to have a couple things up in front of me. So I have a Discogs page. I've got like the Spotify up because you guys are on there. But does the band have an Instagram?
I don't think Instagram was around when we were around.
I think we just about got a MySpace, and then the band split up. Like, it's a long time ago, man.
Oh, it would be like now, though. Do you guys? Because some bands will put up an account now and just put up old photos and things like that.
No, we're not that egotistical.
Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting because like it does happen, but we've never really considered it.
No, it was just kind of
Why?
We've got a lot of photos that people have taken, but we never actually crossed our minds to even do like a kind of some kind of photo archive that people can look back and see pictures of people in the crowd and all that kind of stuff. But
I mean,
it's probably a really good idea. Like, I mean, bear in mind, I don't think there were no mobile phones when we were like doing it, so no one's even got any digital photos.
It was all cameras, and if you had someone who was, Drew, our friend who worked for the paper and local newspaper, he would come on tour with us, and he's like a professional photographer, so he would take loads of photos. We've never actually done anything like put them on kind of a social media account.
No, I don't think we ever have. Like,
did you guys take any photos yourselves besides him? And just because when I was in a band and we would go on tour, I always bought one of those disposable cameras, so I still have them physical, the physical pictures, and I'll take a picture of that with my phone and just upload it to Instagram and just like here and there just to kind of archive things. So you guys have to have some shit that's lying around.
I think I've only got photos that Drew's taken.
Really?
I might have the occasional one in a box somewhere that, oh, no, that's a lie. I have taken pictures when we did that tour with Take and all that. I took disposable cameras.
Yeah.
I've got some of those, but they're like, to put my hands on them would be like...
Yeah, I've got like I think I probably was the one who, back in the day, who was taking photos when we were touring. I think I mentioned to you before I was going to go and try and dig out all my old photos. Yeah, literally proper photos that we got like developed and stuff, I couldn't actually reach them. I've been sort of transitory, like moving from flat to flat, and you can't really carry stuff with you everywhere. So they're all in a box buried in my mum's house still. And I couldn't lay my hands on them. But yeah, they were all the old physical photos of when we were kind of going, especially around like, the States and stuff. And
I do have a lot of stuff from touring back over in the States as old flyers. Like I've got one from when we played Coney Island High. Yeah. I've got lots of those kind of flyers.
Yeah.
And
we should do it.
Definitely got all that kind of stuff and little reviews and kind of tours we did with other bands, like the dates you did. So I kind of kept some of the clippings from magazines or whatever, but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's what bands are doing now. Even if they get like a small amount of following, there's just people are looking for this stuff. I mean, that's how this interview happened, because I'm focusing on that late 90s scene, and initially was just focused on New Jersey because we would play there and go to shows there. So I interviewed all of these bands from 20 years ago that were local big, some of the bands that they just became big locally, but everyone like just geeks out on it, and then it's expanded. But at that time, like how I got connected to you guys was obviously through Monkey.
Monkey.
So it's like between, and so if I'm thinking of back in the day, it was we were playing in Jersey, and then Bigwig's playing, and they show up with Serial Killer Comp, and then Tom's got GFY Records, and then you guys are on that, and that's how we're talking about this today, which is going to focus on that whole time period. So people are looking at that stuff, and if you have photos and things and set lists or flyers and things like that, or like a sticker, and then sometimes people will send you shit and say, oh, here's a photo of like me and you guys, and you're like, oh, that's fucking cool, and then you post it.
Yeah, I think it's a good. I mean, maybe this will be the good inspiration, instigate us digging some stuff out and going through it. Like, normally it's just kind of like drunken nights in the pub, you know what I mean? Just going like, I remember that was ridiculous, and I can't believe we did that back in the day. But yeah, maybe we should actually go through, and it's all there somewhere. I definitely know, like you mentioned stickers. Like I go through flyers and old magazine cuttings or reviews, and there's like a random sticker from like '99 in there, and I'm like, what the fuck? That's like antique, and it's really cool. But I don't think any of us were really like archiving anything sort of specifically. I got a really good friend from another band in Cardiff, a friend of ours, Jim. They were playing around the same time as us. They were our like sort of Cardiff other band best mates, and he's like an archivist, and he's really got like
I think Charlie wrote down like all the dates he
ever played,
and shows he toured with us, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
We rely on. I probably was going to be asking you more questions about what you remember, because like we always ask people like, oh, do you remember that, or like what actually happened, and people kind of fill in the gaps and stuff like this, because we're in our 40s now, and we probably all are. I don't know, but
yeah. Well, I mean, I think usually through these questions it triggers some old memories, and then there'll probably be moments where you're like, oh shit, yeah, then this happened. So that'll happen along the way easily. So this will be like episode 154, and I think you guys are the second band just anybody that I've interviewed overseas from the U.S., and I interviewed Tom Blythe from Goober Patrol. Do you remember those guys, that band?
Yeah, I've been friends with those guys.
I know. Yeah, we know Tom really well. Well, all of those guys.
Wow. Oh, really?
Yeah. I think actually, like even before we were doing Douglas, like me and Phil went up to see a couple of gigs in London. I tell you what it was. This is exactly what you're talking about, triggering on memories. Me and you went up to see.
Was it Mr. T Experience? No.
It was. It was Pennywise were playing in
the Astoria.
The Garage, which is like a sort of 400 cap room in London. And the next day, Green Day, and I believe it might have been on Dookie.
It was definitely the Dookie tour, and it was, I want to say, Screeching Weasel.
No,
Riverdale's.
Yeah, and so we went up to see those two, like both those gigs fell within like one day after the next.
Yeah.
So we kind of busted up to London to see the Pennywise gig, and I think after that,
I think Goober Patrol were playing.
They played a really tiny bar.
That's right.
And we literally went down and were like, I've heard of Goober Patrol. Like, that sounds hilarious. Let's go down and see them. And then, we hung out with them for a little bit. And that's the first place we met them. And we played with those guys
loads of
times.
This is a good segue, because I start off on how you guys got involved in the scene. And it's either you got involved on your own or you got involved because you were in a band. So it sounds like at this point you were aware of the scene. So Is this right at the very beginning when you became aware of it, or had you been involved in it prior to this show?
I can't even remember if we were in a band then.
I don't think we hadn't started a band then. I think we were just kind of like, I think that was basically when we started to kind of get into the scene, I think, really, and kind of discover, bands like Google Patrol. They weren't on Fat at that point. I can't remember what label they were on. I think the Ben Make's label in Norwich.
Oh, that's
they'll be able to fill the most deets. But like, I'd heard of their band name and stuff like this, and you obviously hear of like, around that time, like Green Day were blowing up, and the same as everyone else, we were kind of like, oh, what's this, good shit. I mean, this was off the back of like, Nirvana breaking and all this kind of stuff, and all that scene. And then it was like, oh, there's local bands doing this as well, and there's tiny bands, and they're really good and amazingly entertaining. Google Patrol were like always awesome live and like funny as fuck as well, and really, really nice guys. And then a local band in Cardiff called Four Letter Word, who ended up on BYO, I think, for 1 or 2 records.
I can't remember if it was 2. I think it was 1.
Possibly, but like they were like, oh, suddenly there's a Cardiff band, like, which is where we grew up, South Wales, and it's a Cardiff band who were like doing gigs and stuff, and wow, this is amazing. And that kind of, I guess, led us to kind of fall into doing it, really.
Were you guys playing instruments personally prior to meeting each other?
Yeah, I grew up playing guitar like from the age of 15, 16. I played guitar. I was in like really shitty school bands, that kind of thing. I never even played bass before I became a member of Douglas. So that was kind of...
You could tell as well.
Yeah. It was kind of... So I was...
Two strings less.
When I joined the band, I've never been able to play bass before, so it's kind of like a learning experience. But
yeah.
Well, tell everyone real quick, what did you guys do in the band? Because there's no fucking information on
We kind of like to keep it that way. We're kind of...
apparently.
Yeah. So, yeah. I don't know if you Connect Voice. I'm Jamie, and
I'm Phil.
And I was playing guitar and backups, and Phil was playing bass. And so the other guys, Colin was singing, Ross was the other guitar player, and Nathan was on drums. So there's 5 of us. Yeah, I guess this is the thing. This was pre-internet, man. Or like if the internet was there, I was still on dial-up and just couldn't be bothered going through that process. So.
Well, this is like the way we're going to archive the information about you guys, because I'll...
someone's going to someone ended up doing it for us. But that was it. That was But I've been playing music for... When I grew up, I had a piano teacher across the street, and I took lessons. And then when I kind of went off to school, like piano, I guess wasn't cool, so I started learning guitar. I guess it was like when you grow up learning piano, you're just learning classical music and stuff. And, when you're 13 or 14, that's not cool. So, start learning guitar and stuff like this. And then I left school. I actually went to boarding school. So I was kind of away. I guess going back to how we all kind of met, I left, from my side of it, I left school. I was playing guitar, and then I didn't know anyone in Cardiff because I was obviously in boarding school, and came back down, just went to like a local indie rock nightclub kind of thing, and then met Colin, who was our singer, and I was just like, someone was like, oh, that guy can sing. And I was like, hello, you can sing, right? And he's like, I guess so. And I was like, cool, let's do some stuff. So I went to his house the next day and learned a couple of cover songs on the acoustic guitar, and then we went busking.
Busking?
Yeah, so busking is when you just kind of like, it sounds a bit down and out, but you just kind of, when you sit in the street and you just kind of play music and people just chuck you money.
What do they call it in America?
Yeah, what do you call it in America?
Street artists, like, I guess.
Street art, yeah. Artist is a bit of an overreach, but like we were sitting on the floor playing songs.
How did you get the balls to just go out on the street and just start playing in front of people? Like, wasn't that intimidating?
They were good as well.
I can't remember. I can't really remember whether it was intimidating or not. I think it was just like,
you just got on with it.
This is fun. Let's just do this, and then like. Yeah, maybe. I mean, maybe, you know what, if it was now, I would not do it. But like, you're young and you like go, like, this would be cool, this would be fun. And we were playing like, I don't know what songs we were playing, like back then it was, I don't know. Nirvana covers and like Pearl Jam songs and like, kind of alternative music. That kind of stuff was like, what Colin was into, that was what like a kind of mutual
we were all
ground.
kind of into it, like, and then I guess from that, what happened then? How did you... Well, I'm asking Jamie now.
This is why we need 2 of us to fill in the gaps.
Perfect. That's great.
So how did you meet Ross, and how did you meet Nathan?
So I was busking with Colin, and so I was going down to this in this local indie club. Then I think that I literally didn't know anyone, as I said. So I went down there and just started speaking to people because, okay, you look like you're into the same bands as me. You go and hassle someone on a dance floor, they look at you like you're a weirdo, and then after a while they just kind of go, okay, that guy's talking to me, and you end up just meeting people. And everyone kind of grew up in Cardiff, maybe in different schools, but they kind of met in this one or two clubs with the kind of the hub.
Yeah.
And actually Phil's sister Rachel was going down there all at the same time. Yeah. Ross was there because of that, and I met Ross in that kind of scenario. Obviously Colin, as I said, we went out busking. I think Ross came along busking for us a few times. Phil was Rachel's sister, who was you
was in college with a lot of those lot.
Yeah.
Was Colin in college with Rachel? I don't know that.
I think it was just going out boozing and just drinking. It was how many nights a week is this club open? 5. Cool, I'll see you there. And yeah, me and Colin just used to go busking in the day, earn enough money, take all the change to the local kind of arcade, where they just change it into notes for us because they needed the change, and then we take that into the club. And that's how we earned money, and then we just drank it all, and then we had to go back out busking again.
I just remember.
It was fun.
I remember that Colin, my parents separated when I was young, but I can remember I was living with my mum, and Rachel was good friends with Colin. And one day, because she was in college, she actually was out clubbing one night, and then I think Colin was sleeping on my couch.
Yeah, that sounds about right. He's sleeping on couches now.
I think he stayed for 3 days, but then we got this kind of brother bond where we've never been we always keep in touch with each other even to this day. But that was kind of the click, I think. So you've got Jamie, who knows Colin. I know Colin. I then meet Jamie because Jamie was going out with Liz, who was in college or something.
I don't know.
It all just kind of came from the whole scene of hanging out with this that kind of group of people.
But I think from busking, actually, the way the band ended up getting together, at least at the beginning, I was like, okay, this is fun and stuff, but I want to do a band. And I think at that point, when we started listening to bits of more kind of punk rock and stuff, and I think he'll be probably the first to admit it. Colin wasn't really where Colin was. Yeah. His head wasn't really there at the time. But I advertised for a drummer. Yeah, Nathan phoned me, and I was like, yeah, I think I went. Did we just go for a cup of tea? I mean, it was probably as civilized British as you're gonna get.
I would say that's the most British shit I've heard so far, besides busking.
Yeah, we went for a cup of tea and a chat, and he was it was very nice. No tea cakes, but it was. And then so me and Nathan started just getting in a room, and I think Nathan was playing in a couple of other bands because he was a super super talented drummer, and it was okay. This is not, and he was actually playing in one kind of maybe he's playing in some kind of funk band with his friend Jim.
Yes, that's
Jim,
right.
Little Jim. He was playing in this other band, this punk band, and I was like, yeah, I want to do some really kind of more punk stuff. And he was like, yeah, I don't know about that. And then it was just okay, I kind of was playing him some stuff, and you kind of go, I'll get you, I'm going to snare you in. And eventually we did it. And I think at the beginning it was just me, Nathan, just making a bit of noise. I think Ross came in then. And another friend of ours, Gareth, we call him Harry. He had hair at the time, but like the rest of us doesn't anymore. But he was playing bass for us, so it was a 4-piece initially, and we wrote, we wrote a bunch of songs and started gigging straight away. Actually, I think maybe our first gig or our second gig. I mean, you were probably there. I don't know.
I was at the first gig.
So the first gig was local bands. I think the second gig might have actually been with Goober.
No, so the what I remember was
I can't remember.
I think you were on a hardcore bill, like a local Cardiff hardcore bill. So it was quite out of.
Yeah, I think Lost. Oh yeah, so there was Fleshbind, and Public Disturbance.
That was it.
And so in South Wales, there's a really big scene. So we're based in Cardiff, which is south of the valleys, southwest Wales, right? And so moving up from Cardiff, you've got the place that is called the Valleys because it's a valley. We're not very imaginative of how we kind of describe places. It literally was a whole series of towns in all the coal mining areas of South Wales. and all these little sort of like local communities. And there was a really big sort of music scene like in the valleys at that time.
Yeah, like Newport, especially.
Yeah.
Newport had a legendary club called TJ's, which was a big place that we used to play. Well, we would go there to go and see bands. It's like it's
famous. I think it's where like Kurt proposed to Courtney.
Yeah, Hole were playing in TJ's, and Kurt Cobain proposed to Courtney Love supposedly in this club. But like everyone's played there. I think Green Day played there when they were 16 years old.
I think they did. They actually like Green Day did their like winter nativity gigs. I don't know if they have it.
Stone Roses, Offspring, No Effects have played there a bunch of
times. I remember going in there and like it was basically a guy. What was the guy's name?
John.
No, he's the owner. John was the owner. But like this guy was doing cheap, sweaty fun. That was his promotional thing. Simon. And it was like I'd go in there to watch bands back in early on and stuff, and it would be like, shit, there's a bill, and it's like Green Day are opening up for like Offspring and No FX. It's like, what the fuck is that? Like how like they like loads of bands like Down by Law came through. Like
Jawbreaker.
Hey, did they? Back in the day, they might have done.
Any band
Jawbox play every band you could think of. Like back then, and like as kids, your eyes are like wide like saucers, going fuck.
How far are you from London?
So like maybe a 2.5 hour drive directly west.
So you figure like London would be the easy place for a band in the US to go and be like, oh, we're going to London, and then so this club that's in So was the club you're talking about in Cardiff?
It was in a town really nearby called Newport. So
was that like a really popular spot? So any big bands knew to come there, and they'd be like, all right, it's like you're kind of competing with London at that point, but bands are like, oh, we know we're going to play there, and we're going to go to this club too because it's fucking awesome.
I think it was like bands would come over and may get booked to London, and then you would play TJ's. It was like the best stinky ass fucking venue in the UK. It kind of grew over time, but it was like this little cave where you basically were wading through water to get to the toilets. Like, it was stinking, man. And like, I mean, one of the greatest gigs I ever saw down there, this is before it expanded. I think me and Phil went down to see Rocket from the Crypt on Scream Dracula Scream. And this was just after On a Rope dropped. And
that was incredible.
So that was like it wasn't the first time I heard that band, because I remember chatting to, I think it was actually a couple of American girls in this nightclub that I was speaking about Cardiff, which was called Metro. So I was talking to these two American girls, and they were like, I was like, you need to listen to Rocket from the Crypt. And I was like, okay. And all I could find at the time was Circa Now. And I rented it out from the library because I couldn't. I mean, who rent CDs? Who fuck rent CDs from a library? Like I do, like once or maybe twice, but once. And I was like, yeah, this is nuts. This is crazy. And then like, Scream Dracula Scream came out.
Like it was insane.
And it was insane. Like people, literally, you couldn't fit him on the stage. Like Speedo was like, his knees are on the kick drum. People were dodging the horns, like, and falling over. Half the crowd were basically behind the amps. The stage it was tiny. It was, back then, it was 2 inches off the floor.
Yeah, there was no
room. And it was fucked, man. And we saw them down there, and I think I saw Lagwagon when on Hoss when that dropped.
Mr. T Experience I saw there.
Mr. T Experience.
Voodoo Glow Skulls.
Voodoo Glow Skulls was pretty funny because trombone dangerous in a small venue.
Oh, I can imagine. They're just jamming people in the face.
It was just like everyone was rammed up to the front, apart from this like sort of like putting green circle around the trombone player was having the most space in the entire room.
I saw Sick of It All there as well.
Sick of It All played there. Yeah, Misfits had played there.
You guys got to see you got to see just huge bands for the scene at that time. So did this was this like the kickstart you got? This is kind of like the thing that kickstarted you guys to be like, all right, fuck, like let's we're influenced by this, like let's start doing this.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, I don't know if at the time you really think that like you're watching this stuff and going, right, I want to do that. I want to get up and do that. I think it was just like everything was kind of just happening at that time, and
like organically.
Yeah, organically. And these bands were coming through that suddenly you just read about, and it was like, there's this band coming through, Sick of It All are playing, and it's like, I just heard about them last week, and that record's amazing. Let's go down and check it out. It was that organic. Those things were happening, and those bands were touring. Probably the same as everyone was getting it into it in the States, you know, and like, you know, around New Jersey, things you heard about a band and the next thing you knew they were coming through.
But the other thing that was happening a lot back then, especially with TJs, is you would have bands like Lagwagon play in TJs. They'd have like an amazing support. So it'd be like Lagwagon, maybe I can't remember exactly if this is right.
I can't remember.
Strung Out, and these bands would tour together. Like No Use for Names, Strung Out, Lagwagon. So for a young kid, you're kind of getting bang for your buck because it's like, say, £15 where it was to get in, and you're seeing 3 bands you already love. So
and like I think that, I mean, obviously when we were around that era, like Fat Music for Fat People was like a massive kind of like, well, it's like, but this is fucking class. And then, you know, Epitaph was obviously doing their stuff and they got like a massive back catalogue. But I mean, honestly speaking, like Fat Music for Fat People, you know, started listening to stuff like that and it was like, this is class. And I remember going to London. There's a few gigs I went to see in London with a mutual friend, Emlyn, and it was Bad Religion, Snuff and Lagwagon. And I was like, this is fucking class, man. And like, you know, and that was when, I think that was when Lagwagon was still on Trashed.
Yeah, it would have been.
And I was,
Yeah. When we saw him in TJs, it was definitely on Hoss.
So we were really lucky, and then we go up to see Good Riddance and Tilt. You know, we were like, we've got to drive a 6-hour round trip. Bear in mind, I know that a 6-hour round trip is like really small in America. But for us, this is like...
Oh, fuck that. That's still long, man. Oh, fuck yeah.
Like, when we got to America, it was like, you know, stepping ahead now. But when we got there, it was like, yeah, we got to drive all the way to Florida. We were like, fuck.
Oh, yeah, that's the worst.
You do that? You know, you got to drive like how far to the next gig? And yeah, so, but going to London was the big one.
I think the other thing that is different with America compared to Britain, especially with distances for things, like it's a lot more expensive in this country to travel. Even in like petrol is really expensive, so it wasn't something that you could just like, because petrol is so much cheaper. You get, does that make sense? Like
I know what you mean. I think I definitely felt that, like kind of.
You can fill up a tank in America and you can go a lot further, whereas in the UK it's usually about to go to London.
I mean, back then especially because like none of us had proper jobs. I mean, bear in mind we were probably busking in order to try and get to London. That was the only jobs and like whatever sort of dole money.
So tell me about like your first show and then kind of expand from there and how that led to you guys recording and then and all that stuff. So let's talk about your first show.
First show,
I believe, was us, Goober Patrol, 4-letter words, and 10-foot pole.
Yeah.
Wow.
That was the first gig.
How the hell did you get on the bill like that?
Because that was Cardiff. That was like actually... That was the first show we did as in our current lineup. Like with current, that's ridiculous. That was 20 years ago. Like in the one and only all 5 of us. We did 2 gigs before with local bands, as you said, but that was our first one as a 5-piece because Cardiff's like a really kind of small city, and I think we'd met Goobers before then.
And they were on Fat Records at this point.
Yeah, and that's why they got on the 10-foot pole tour. And this was actually, like, it was just quite funny. And then 4-letter word was that band that I mentioned who are also from around here who got signed to BYO. And that was like, fuck, there's a band from, you know, Cardiff on BYO, you know, and like Youth Brigade and like Bounce and Salt. That's when, like, I think it was Maniacal Laugh. Was it?
Maniacal Laughter.
Yeah. That record, like, you know, like, I can't remember the tunes. I got some 7-inches down there, but I was like, fuck, you know, Bounce and Souls and Youth Brigade are on the same like roster as them, and that's amazing. And so Welly, the singer from that band, was also, you know, he did a zine, Artcore, and I think he was trying to book bands and trying to build up the scene. So he was pretty fundamental in like building it up really good at that in the Cardiff scene. Another guy, Dave, who did Dave Hopkins, who did another. He did Mad Monk, and then he went to Fracture. Kind of thing. So yeah, like there wasn't a lot of bands kicking around at that time, and us just being probably a bunch of loudmouth people just pestering, you know, all the time was just like, yeah, you can come and do this thing. I think we were kind of lucky. We didn't really have any kind of clue what we were doing, but like, you know, in hindsight, I think people, even on our first gig, which was when we were 4-piece, which is looking back probably very ropey, like people were like, okay, this is all right, man. It sounds like a band at least, you know, like let's give them that. And I think
I thought they were great.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like there was a lot of local bands, and not like shitting on Phil, like thinking you guys are good because he's like, well, I don't really have any options here, so I guess I'll go with you guys.
We didn't have any options, so like, we picked Phil.
Yeah, there wasn't really a lot of local bands. Well, I suppose there were a couple of hardcore bands, and there was Doug when we were called Doug before Douglas, and then when we became part of the band, there was like ska bands that coming through in Cardiff. So you had like Shooting Goon, who were a really popular band in that time, and there was still the hardcore thing going on. But I can't remember how we actually got to start writing and recording the first kind of demos. I can't remember how that started.
I think I think like we had a couple of songs. I think, and I don't think any like our first songs ever came out on like the CD that Tom put out on GFY. Like there was a 6-track demo which I hope never sees the light of day, which was out. Like that was the first recording we did it as 5 of us. I think that at that point, going back, like Cardiff was very kind of, and definitely South Wales was very kind of insular in itself. But like, you know, the bands we used to play with there was a mix of like some Valleys bands doing like hardcore, which they were probably listening to a lot of like the New York scene, and like I think, you know, like those kind of New York hardcore bands, and then there's a couple of punk bands doing it, but there's a lot still like really alternative and stuff. You know, bear in mind, I think that like being a couple hours from London, not being any kind of music centric kind of like, especially for alternative music, everyone was just trying to kind of find their feet at that point, at that level.
I think also that like a lot of bills back then, especially local bands, there was a lot of all days. Do you call them all days over there?
No. What is it?
All days.
All days? What does that mean?
All days. So you'll have, I can't even remember how much it was to get in, but you would have bands from midday to like 9 o'clock. And you'd have like maybe 8 bands on the bill.
Oh yeah, that was like every local show in New Jersey.
I was going to say, that's like every gig. I mean, when we went to Jersey, it was like, here's your first gig, and it was like, oh, there's like 8 bands, and it's like, it's like fucking all day, mate. And it's like,
when they were going on in Cardiff, there was a total mix of hardcore, ska, punk, rock, just all that kind of. But it was everyone kind of getting together and just supporting each other. That whole community kind
of. That was so new. I don't know whether it was just like new to South Wales or new to us, because we were kind of still finding our feet with it. But that was like really exciting when people like, you know, talking about Welly, who did 4 Letter Word. He did a bunch of all dayers. They had contacts with more bands from being around long enough. Yeah, Dave Monk as well was doing all dayers and stuff. And I think we ended up putting on some ourselves. And you start finding there's little pockets of bands all around the country and stuff. And that was all really new and fresh. And I think that's stepping ahead of it. Like we kind of just had, at the beginning, we were just playing like really small, like places. You could like a room that would like hold 25 people, and or 30 people tops. Like
we played that snooker hall, Rajas.
We played a snooker hall. We were playing in like the second room in a tiny club. Like we lucked out on our first gig, but everything after that was shit for a while.
So how does that lead to you guys? I mean, and don't dive into this until we get there, but just to kind of give me a number. Like how many records did you guys actually put out?
Do you want to know the truth?
What's one?
Actually, like as a full album?
Yeah, as a full album.
Yeah, 1.
Yeah, because that's all I can find is Persona.
Yeah, so there's the Persona which which Tom put out for us. There was a 6-track demo before that. I think there was like 14 songs on Persona, and you basically, let's write 14 songs and you just put it all down. There's no creative control going on. It's like, yep, that's all going in there.
Then we did Phase 2.
And then we did another EP after that called Phase 2, which I believe it was added onto
a re-release.
A re-release that came out in the UK. Ended up with another 2 songs, which were on an Atari split 7-inch, I believe.
And then we put out the.
And then there was another single after that, which had 3 songs, but it was part of like a 7 or 8 song kind of like recording process. Not all of them have seen the light of day. 1 came out after we split up. Yeah, I mean, there was loads of bits and there was a bunch of other songs, but this was kind of around the point that it was kind of fizzling out. We didn't really know what we were doing, so it was kind of like we were playing like those same songs for a really long time and just filtering stuff. There's no kind of like, let's stop to write another record, because you're just doing it. You're just in the moment, and you know. So
talk about leading up to Persona, because you guys start off and you basically start off playing like a huge show, and then you said it kind of got a little bit like the shows kind of sucked a little bit after that. How does this lead to GFY and then coming over the States, and we can kind of talk about like that and touring over here?
So basically, what we were using cassettes back then, because we were sending them off to all different kinds of labels.
Yes.
Going through Maximum Rock and Roll, looking at all the punk labels, just kind of.
Yeah, far too punk for us.
Yeah, far too punk. Just kind of just writing down addresses to send to labels in the States, like Kung Fu, Fat, obviously Epitaph, but like
obviously didn't get a call from them.
We would send them off.
Still waiting, Brett,
to no avail. You wouldn't hear anything back. And
you hooked it up, didn't you?
So I was on holiday with my dad and my sister, and I did an interview for my own kind of zine with Bigwig in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Tom was telling me that he ran a label called GFY Records, and I can't remember whether I had a tape or I sent him a tape.
You had a tape. You handed it to him.
Did I hand him a tape? I can't really. But then
you always carry those tapes on you. You still do.
I've got loads in my back pocket. Like, I think. But then didn't he phone you work or phone?
Yeah. So basically, like, you know, we were at home, kind of like, sending off tapes to people. There was one label who was interested before that, and it was a label I think was out of San Francisco called Subjugation. Bear in mind, no one in the UK was really kind of like, I don't know who we were sending stuff to. I can't really remember.
I don't think we sent anything to like anything.
But anyway, like, there was one label like Subjugation. I don't even know how they got it, because I'd never heard of a label, with all due respect. And they were like, I think they were connected, like, wasn't it early Swinging Utters? Or it was a really kind of like, sort of like punk kind of thing. I don't know why I'm doubling up the punk, like it's more punk than one, but like I was like, this is kind of weird, but like, okay, this is interesting. Like, someone's really interested. This is cool, and they were chatting to us. But in the meantime, Phil came back from his his holiday, and he said, my recollection is you said who is it? Bigwig, Blink,
and Less Than Jake. It was
Less Than Jake.
It was 2022's Dude Ranch tour.
Dude Ranch,
and it was Less Than Jake supporting, and Bigwig were on tour with, I guess, Less Than Jake.
It can't have been Dude Ranch.
It was Dude Ranch tour.
Was it?
Yeah.
But so Phil came back, was like handed a cassette to Tom, and I was working in a bar called TGI Fridays at the time. They're in America as well, right?
Yeah, we have them over here still.
Awful place.
Yeah, it's pretty good garbage.
But like, so I just got a phone call, and it was like, my manager was like, "There's a phone call for you," and it was like, yeah, it was Tom. I was like, wow, this is fucking weird, because I'd heard of Bigwig, and obviously, and through like compilations, I can't remember which compilations, but it was around the time of they were doing and Merry Melodies, their first record, with a B on the front.
That's right.
Yeah. And I was like, this is kind of weird. You know, I'm standing there with my like stupid hat and my red stripy top and all the badges and and like looking like a dickhead, thinking I'm getting a phone call from some guy in the States, like, you know, who's up for it. And I can't really remember the conversation, but I was a bit like,
I can remember he said that I really like your cassette tape. I want to put it out on GFY. I wanted to go on tour.
Yeah, he was
Bigwig.
Yeah, he was basically like, "Do you guys want to tour?" And I was like,
"Yeah."
I'm standing, but bear in mind, once again, I'm standing there in like a red stripy top with like all my like braces, about to go and sing "Happy Birthday" to a 5-year-old who doesn't give a fuck. And I'm like, "Yes, I do want to go on tour, Tom."
I think he was like, "When can you get out of here?"
Yeah, when can you get out of it? Like 2 minutes. Is there a bus outside? But yeah, that was like, to be honest, like all these bands, you know, going back, it's like all these bands were kind of coming through, and you were on the compilations, you were learning about all these different bands. I don't know if, I think, wasn't Unmerry Melodies on Fearless?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I don't know if there was a Fearless comp or whether I've heard them, but I had their record, and I was like, it took me a moment to go like, Tom, what? Like, make the connection. And I was like, that's fucking cool. And I was like, dude, said to the rest of the guys, I was like, okay, so these guys just want to put out a record and didn't mention anything about playing shows. And Tom's like, I'm basically like up for putting out a record if you come over here. And I was like, well, done deal.
So we were all like, yeah, definitely, we're definitely good.
Yeah.
He calls you up, and then what came first? You recording the record, or you guys going on tour in the States?
We just put that record out.
No. We recorded the whole. We recorded the whole thing.
And that was the tape you gave him?
And that was the demo, which I believe was the thing that came out.
Do you guys just pony up yourselves and pay for the recording?
Yeah.
Okay. So then you have that. You have the demo tape. You're giving it. So he gets that. And you guys, at this point, you hadn't been on tour in like Europe or England or anything like that. And then your first tour is in the States?
Yeah. So we'd played a few places in the UK, like at All Dayers, where you send. I think when we were sending tapes around, we were kind of going through local zines and seeing who was doing All Dayers, and we were these kind of what you call regular gigs in New Jersey, but like these All Dayer things, and trying to get on these bills, and that's all we'd done. We'd never done a tour, so our first proper tour was in the States and Canada. We actually played London in Canada before we played London in England. So.
Holy shit. So you guys, wow.
It's true. That's totally true, because I remember going around and thinking, fuck, like this place is called Trafalgar Square. And I was like, it doesn't look anything like Trafalgar. Like, oh, we're in Piccadilly Circus. Nah. It's like, yeah, it was weird. Yeah. But that's a fact. Like the demo, I don't know if you could call it a demo. We went in just to record 14 songs that we had. And then that ended up becoming Persona.
So did he put that out on GFY? So when you guys got to the States, that was... he handed you a CD and it was like, all right, cool, we're taking this on the road.
Yeah, well, that was the plan.
Oh, okay.
It goes way deeper.
Well, that was the plan, but so it was like, yeah, we'll put your record out and you can come on tour. And then I'm not too sure what the situation was back, but we got there and it was like, yeah, no CDs yet, guys. We're like, oh fuck. So we had I think we had some T-shirts printed.
No, we didn't. We didn't have anything on that first tour for about. We didn't have any CDs. We didn't have any merchandise to sell. The only thing we had to sell was stickers.
We had over like 250 stickers. But,
you sell them for like $20 a piece? Jesus.
I mean, no, we just we got by on charm, I guess. But I think we got actually. The first T-shirts we got, that was ridiculous, actually. I can't remember.
You don't remember that?
Yeah, I totally do remember that.
Want to buy a sticker?
Yeah, you want to buy a sticker? Like, okay, we should be giving them away. But I think we got to Canada and we got a T-shirt.
T-shirts.
We got T-shirts in Canada when we went up there, and obviously Bigwig were playing some pretty big shows, and we really need to sell these T-shirts. So we were going around like fuck a merch stand. We were literally carrying a bunch of T-shirts in our hands while people are just trying to have a pint and going like, hello, you want to buy a T-shirt? It was like, you put on your best British charm, so we were literally going take a T-shirt, and we actually got rid of loads.
We did.
That's smart.
Just sheer banter and just will. That helped a little bit. I don't think we actually did. We have any CDs until the second time.
I think the second time was when we had the CD.
Yeah.
Well, how long was the first tour?
The first tour was
January through to March.
7 weeks, and it was January to March, a 7-week period around then.
And then June to the end of August,
which is an 8-week period. Yeah.
Wow. So you went on 7 weeks, and you had nothing but stickers. You guys are playing shows and just getting basically the per diem, or not per diem, just getting whatever they paid you at the club.
Yeah, I don't think per diem was in our lexicon back there. It wasn't a word I knew.
Well, that was more the promise. The per diem was what you promised the band members every day. So everyone would be like, all right, cool. I know I'm getting $5 or $10 today, so I can't.
Yeah, I don't know how we did it in hindsight, because obviously, we were just we'll record a CD. We'll pay our flights. We'll save up some money. We're going to do this. It's just going to be the best holiday with your mates.
Oh yeah, the first tour was definitely.
I was stressed about it, but it was definitely not a normal situation.
The first tour was definitely paid for by ourselves, in the sense of we all paid for our flights to New York, and Nathan paid a bunch of money to hire the van the first time. And
did we have a van?
Yeah, we hired a van the first tour, and then we rented. Because we didn't have as much money the second time, so we borrowed John Castaldo from Bigwig's car, or that little minivan.
Minivan. I think the minivan, right?
Yeah,
did we drive that?
Yeah, we did it.
Okay. So I do remember having a van, Actually, on the first tour, there was nothing in the back of it, was it?
No.
Really, see, that was like there's a long drive to Florida.
There's so many stories from that car. It's like it had no air conditioning in it. Like something went wrong with the van.
That was the second tour.
The second tour.
That was John's car. That was John's. Yeah, the car that he graciously lent us, I think. But that broke down. But that was the second tour. So I think the first time we
rented. We were definitely
around New Jersey. We were obviously going in like Tom had this big. I don't even know what you call it. It was just a
18 van.
It's like an 18 van. It looked like to us. We were going around that, and they were lending us all their gear. We were very grateful for that. We really didn't have to bring anything with us. Yeah, it was cool, man, and we really lucked out. We were really stoked. I think the second tour I got myself a nice guitar, and I was like, I'm definitely taking this. I don't give a shit about customs. You know, we're going to go in. I'm taking my guitar. And I think that everyone else still borrows.
Yeah, that's a weird thing to look back on it now, that none of us had work visas to go to America. We were literally going over, as 5 people.
It's like, don't look at each other in the eye.
And because I don't know if you've been out of the US, coming into America is quite...
it's scary.
It's quite not intimidating.
It's intimidating.
Is it really?
But they're like all about what you're doing here, where you staying, how much money have you got.
I've been into the States with like visas since then, like on work visas and stuff, and it's still like, oh man, this is like more hassle. And like going to the American embassy in London just to get a visa or just ask, please, and I come in, it's like, oh, I don't want to have to go through this. It's a nightmare. You know, it's probably even harder now. I think it's difficult.
So you guys came over here just as individuals and didn't let them know that you were a band or anything like that?
Yeah, totally.
I think we came over. Yeah, we definitely came over.
And we went in different. We went in different queues.
We had a game plan, and we beat the system.
I can remember something actually. I remember something. We went on the first tour. Tom from Bigwig said, "Don't go through the same border check to go into Canada."
Yeah.
So we drove. Like, I can't remember how far it was.
What, as them?
They went through as normal, but we went through a different check. And the person who was on the customs was like, "Why have you come through this point? And what are you doing here?" We're like, "We're a snowboard team."
Did we say that?
We did, yeah. So we're sitting in the back of that car. Do you remember just going like, "Yep."
Yeah. So yeah, we were cool run-ins. That happened. Oh shit, I don't even remember that. No, I don't. That was class though. I remember.
We literally were just doing it like on a whim.
That was fun. Yeah, but that was the thing. It's getting to America. It's, by the way, you've now got another border, and those, they don't get on with each other.
Getting over the border in Canada always sucks. It did then. Sure. Well, now we can't even go over to Canada right now, but you have to hide your merch and all that shit because they'll tax you for all the shirts and stuff you're going to sell because they want to get a cut.
I think that's probably why we got T-shirts printed in Canada.
That makes sense.
That would have made it, like, now you mention it, would have made complete sense. I know in Europe, unfortunately Britain is just full of a lot of stupid people, and so now we're not part of the EU, but before it was only like Switzerland. You have to sort of claim, and you have to put your carnet through, and you have to claim every single little bit, sign it in, sign out, and it's really long being on tour when you got to do that. So now, obviously, changing the subject, now Brexit's happened, that's made it impossible for British bands to do the same, Now, pain in the ass. But, we get that. I don't remember we were a snowboard team.
Yeah, no, the reason, I just remember, the reason we went through as a snowboard team was because Colin, our singer, came from... Where did he come from? Because we met him at the airport. He was snowboarding for he came over. He went from, I can't remember the name of the place, but he met us at London and he had all his gear with him. So he had a snowboard with him on the whole trip. So we had the snowboard in the van and we made up that we're a snowboard team.
Huh?
You don't remember that?
No, he took a snowboard all the way to Canada.
Yeah, well, he had all his gear. He didn't go back to Wales. He was just flew into London.
That was ridiculous.
So when he was snowboarding and he brought all his gear with him, so he just stuck it. He said, "Well, I can't get rid of this." So
did he take it on tour though?
He took it on tour with him. Yeah.
Was he planning? Oh, man,
he wasn't planning on snowboarding. He just had it as in
Why didn't he leave it at Tom's house? Sorry, we're having a personal conversation here about Colin.
You can hash it out.
He flew in from Europe to London,
Did he?
And then he flew to New York. So he had all his gear from Europe with him. So when we travelled that way, yeah.
I'm sure there was probably intention. In his head, he's probably thinking, I'm going to Canada in January, so I'm definitely going to go snowboarding. But
well, did you just to segue off of the snowboard thing? Even though it's fucking hilarious.
Sorry.
We're waffling.
We do waffle.
Did you guys? No, that's totally fine. Did you guys like? How was that tour? Like, how were the first 2 tours? I'm guessing you got being in Canada with Bigwig at that time. They were playing gigantic. They were huge up there. So did you guys get to witness that?
That was kind of crazy. I think in advance, like Tom was like, yeah, we're going to do this and we do really well in Canada, so we're obviously going to go up there. They probably went up there on every single tour they did, but it was amazing. I mean, the whole thing was just so new to us. I think coming into the States and stuff and playing around New Jersey, and I remember like Tom was like, is there any like kind of bands from New Jersey you want to play with? And I think at the time we were like a Catch-22, and like I loved that first record, Keys Be Nights.
Second show in
was it the first show? Did they not do the first show?
No, we did the first show with Bigwig in some hall, and then we played in an even smaller hall the next day, and it was with Catch-22.
Yeah, but like, so everything was just like kind of getting to the first gig, and yeah, it was like a whole show, and there was loads of people there, and we were like, this is more people than we've ever played to at this point. This is great, and like, it's ridiculous for like a tiny band from the UK, and especially Cardiff, like to be. For us, we're in New Jersey now, and like, we're like obviously Tom had brought us over, and we were like second to the top, and it was like, always great. But I think Midtown played that gig, and that was before.
That was their first gig. That was apparently.
Oh shit, yeah, but it was Midtown's first show. Yeah, that was. I remember them telling us afterwards. Actually, that was that. So that was Midtown's first gig. I don't think we saw them because I think we turned up a little bit after the show had started, and that was and so. But yeah, after that, I think we played a bunch of shows in Midtown, and they're really lovely guys, and they were really nice to us. But yeah, so that was fucking great, and we were playing, and people were really appreciative, and like we were obviously like kind of hyped on being there, and the other side of it were like probably jet lagged and didn't know what the fuck was going on, and it was just great. And playing guitars we'd never picked up before, and that's always weird, but like, yeah, it was awesome.
It's a good experience.
Everything was so good, and everyone was so nice to us, and. What was kind of nuts is like there's great bands in the UK, and we were playing some really good old days. I think we just lucked out, all along the way.
What year was this when you guys did that first tour?
99.
Okay, because there's an archive that I talk about all the time. This guy Joe Polito made this NJPP archive, and so he's got a flyer section, and I'm trying to find this flyer. Oh wait, let's see here. There's a flyer here. And it says, where'd it go? This is, when the hell is this? January 29th, 1999, Bigwig, Doug from Europe on GFY Records.
Doug.
Five Driver, The Commercials, and Lint, and Professor Plum.
That sounds about right.
What was that? No, but that wouldn't have been the first one, because definitely Midtown was the first one.
Well, Midtown, Professor Plum, that was, so Rob, who's the drummer in Midtown, he was in Professor Plum. So it's interesting that would have. No, he was in the Royalty. Fuck, actually, goddamn, I always fuck this up, and he's always like, "No, you idiot, it was this band." No, it was the Royalty. Shit. Wait, let me text him real quick just to make sure.
Yeah, text it, man. Say hi. Yeah, I mean, they might have made a mistake as well, but I remember, like, I don't know if they told us that at the time, but I think was it me and you? We actually. I remember when Midtown came to the UK, and I drove all the way to a place called Exeter in the south UK because they were playing in the Cavern Club down there to go and see Midtown. And I think that's when they said, this was way after we first met them, and I think they were kind of like already maybe on my second record on Sony or something like that in the US. And they were like, that was the point. They were like, oh yeah, our first show was with you guys. And I was like, fuck.
I think if I remember rightly, I actually think they were added to the bill because they wanted to play it like as a trial.
So they weren't on the lineup?
No, I think they were added to the bill. And I
they heard we were coming. So
I remember they knew that the Brits were in town. This is going to be amazing. We've got to play this gig. So No, I can vividly remember Tom, I think, talking to a couple of the guys from Midtown afterwards.
Makes more sense too, because the timeline you said you went from January to March, or so you did 7 weeks, and then you went back out in June. This is all 99. So this makes more sense that this would have been the show. And I think I remember Midtown, because right in the beginning there, they waited until they had their CD recorded, their EP.
EP, yeah.
Yeah, I could swear, and I bet I can go back and listen to Heath's and Rob's interview, and I bet they're talking about this. But this was like 3 years ago, so I keep forgetting about this shit. So wait, so you guys are now I'm really jumping all over the place, but you went from Doug to Douglas, and did you guys change your name to Douglas on that tour?
Yeah. So basically, like we were like, bear in mind there was no particular reason for being called Doug. I don't know what the reason is, just ridiculous back in hindsight. But we were called Doug, and then I believe Tom was like, "We're going to Canada, and there's a band called Doug there." I was like, "Wow, there's actually two people who thought of a ridiculously stupid name. This is fucking, So let's one up these people. We're going to go Douglas." So yeah, it was just easy. I think we played a bunch of gigs in the UK, so we just changed it to that.
So like you're on tour and you change your name of your band while on tour.
I don't know. I don't think we necessarily changed it because, like, bear in mind when we were going to New Jersey, like, we would have done the artwork for the CD, but didn't end up getting pressed in time, if that makes sense. So I believe that, like, we were already going under the name of Douglas in the States, but, like, maybe that first gig we were still down as Doug because someone, a kind of like, I don't know, maybe it was some kind of communication thing. I don't know if that is even a thing, but like.
Well, that's interesting though, because you guys are called Doug, and I'm sure people listening, they're probably like, why does this matter? But
it wasn't in the middle of a tour. I think it was just a kind of like, maybe Tom was talking about this band that he was going to thing, and let's book the show, and that show got booked maybe, and then it was like, oh, by the way, we might need to change the name before we press this CD.
But you guys also have stickers on you, and you have merch being printed in Canada.
That was all Douglas. So if that first gig is down as Doug, it's simply because, like, maybe that got sorted, or maybe, I don't know. I don't know why that gig was
We definitely changed the name before we went out there.
Yeah.
We definitely did.
But if the first gig was down as Doug, maybe it's because of a conversation and someone maybe who did the flyers remembered it as that, or was told it was that, and then it got changed last minute. I mean, it doesn't take 4 hours to print up a bunch of flyers. I don't know when we would have got them done, but
yeah, I was just wondering if you guys there was Doug shirts out there from that tour, but it sounds
not from that tour. There are Doug shirts out there. I mean, looking back, it's like everything's ridiculous. Yeah, there was a Doug shirt which our drummer drew. That literally drew on a napkin and got handed to the printers, and the lines are really not tight. It's pretty bad. But yeah, it's all out there. Yeah, I think it was literally a band in Canada. I believe it was some.
It was a band in Canada.
No, it was. I don't think it's a band. I think it was just like some techno DJ. And Tom just was like, "We don't need any of this like hassle." I was like, "Yeah, I don't think anyone's going to really care that much." But like, we changed it. It's fine. And then that just kind of carried on.
So when you guys like finally got your CDs, that was on the second tour, you said.
Yeah, I have a feeling he might have sent us over some CDs
in between that tour.
In between, because we got back and then it was like, Cardiff band kind of goes to America, and I think we got back. Actually, we got back from the first tour and did a bit. The next show we played was with Consumed and Goobers.
Yeah, that's
in Cardiff. So like Goober Patrol and a band called Consumed who ended up on Fat as well. Amazing band. We played a show with them in Cardiff. I think after that, Tom had started to send us over a box of CDs that we were able to sell in the UK, and obviously the second tour, but we had CDs to sell at shows as well. So I think it was just a delayed pressing. I'm not sure. Yeah, these things happen, don't they? It was just one of them. Like, so yeah, we eventually had some, and it was cool. It was cool to have.
How did the first CD do? Like, did it sell? Like, I don't know. How did it do?
I mean, I think it did pretty well. Like, yeah. I mean, I don't know exact figures or like what, how you comparable to anything else. But being our first band, we were shifting some stuff. At your first kind of couple of gigs, if you sell 10 tapes, you're like, yeah, we sell 10 tapes. Brilliant. Let's go and buy 4 beers. But yeah, I don't know really how well it did, like, or how many in total it sold. Because Tom obviously, pressed it in the States. I don't know if he did represses. I think a pressing a thousand, isn't it? So yeah, but we were kind of like sending them out, and there was a guy in the UK who, I think he was in touch with Tom, trying to ask Tom if we could. He was allowed to press it. At the beginning, it was difficult, I think he said, but eventually, like, it relented, and we were able to sort of get it repressed in the UK on a different label, kind of thing.
Speedo Wax?
No. It was Gravity.
No. You're missing out. You're missing out. You are. So we had the GFY,
Sorry.
the GFY Governor, and then Speedo Wax put out as a double 7-inch.
Yeah, that wasn't before Gravity.
It was before Gravity. You sure?
No, it wasn't, because there was actually a kind of like, this is way jumping ahead, like, I think that I believe, because obviously, like, we had a contract with GFY. Tom had contracts, so okay, we were like, okay, cool, and then so we signed it, and it was all fine. I think a couple of years had really passed, maybe 2 or 3 years, I can't remember. There was a kind of collective which had a label associated with it called Gravity, DIP, in the UK, and they wanted to put out that original, because Persona, we'd run out of copies. It wasn't getting pressed, I do believe. We couldn't I don't know if it was still getting pressed. We weren't obviously doing anything in the States at that point, and lost kind of contact, like, with what was going on and stuff. And a guy called JT wanted to kind of release it in the UK, because we were still kind of playing those songs, but kind of attach like a couple of other EPs and stuff onto the end of it to kind of, make it sort of a viable kind of like selling kind of thing. It took a little bit of time to kind of get that moving, but like, for some reason, I'm not too sure exactly. Well, we weren't really involved in any kind of things. It kind of felt a bit weird, but like, it would have been held up in any kind of way. But eventually it did. And so I think, Gravity in the UK would have sold like a bunch of copies, and we, the back end, that's all we were selling once the sort of GFY copies kind of ran out.
How long were you guys a band? Like, what year did you guys break up?
8 years. 8 years, maybe.
Okay, so your first tour, we just talked about that. In the second tour, you guys get this record. So like, then what starts to happen with you guys? Like, it sounds like you guys, do you stay more in like Europe and tour there more, or did you keep coming back to the States with new records and things like that?
No, we were just in the UK. We never made it to Europe or anything like that. We were just, we were just in the UK playing like loads of gigs. I think that really actually going to the States was a couple of times. And bear in mind, that was only East Coast. We only did East Coast and Canada, right?
Yeah.
It was only after that like people kind of, not people, I mean, that's ridiculous. I think we were playing a bunch of all-dayers, and like we were making friends, and we were really kind of starting to like, get on some cool shows and stuff like this.
I think the door really opened when we got to know the guys in Capdown. That was kind of like...
Yeah.
So Capdown was this incredibly hard-working ska punk band that I think they toured something like, or played in 1 year, something like 250 shows. And they'd done Europe a bunch of times, and we become friends with them. And did we start doing shows with them? And
I know exactly this. This is what you said about before, about like trigger memories. That was when we came back from the States for the first time, and the first gig we played when we got back was with Goober Patrol, and they were touring with this band Capdown. And because for some stupid reason we were the local band, but because we like, everyone was like, oh, Douglas had just been to America, like, like they need to go on before Goober Patrol. And I was like, at the time we didn't think anything. I was like, whatever. And it was like, so it ended up being like an opening band, I can't remember who, and Capdown, and then us, and then Goober Patrol. And then Capdown went on, and it was like, fuck, we got to go on after this.
They were fucking
amazing. Like, you never really get to hear your own band. Like, hopefully we were like, okay, we were able to like stand up, but like they were fucking insanely good. And yeah, but it doesn't matter, does it, where you are on a bill, you become friends with people. So yeah, we were really starting to tour more and more after that, but we never came back to the States as a band, and we never did Europe. We just played around the UK. We got on some really good support tours, played with some really cool bands.
We toured a lot more back, like when we came back from the States, more than we did when we were in America. So we basically toured a lot with Cap down, then started doing our own tours, and we were just trying to stay on the road as much as possible because we weren't really making that much money.
Well, we weren't. We were also like all working in bars and call centers, shitty places. So you could grab a couple of weeks here and grab a couple of weeks there, but you'd go between from job to job and just hope that they'd give you time off. And sometimes you have to leave a job in order to, do a tour in order to come back. But that was the kind of thing.
So you can just make a career out of just touring in the UK. Like you could just do that for a really long time. I mean, obviously you said you weren't making money, but like there's so many places that you can go to there.
Oh yeah, there's loads. I mean, the UK is tiny, but there's loads. Every city, every little town has a gig you can go and play in if that's what you want to play. Like, I mean, looking on the map, as you know, like Britain's tiny, right? But
yeah, I got it open right now.
I mean, Britain is, what is it, probably, I think you can fit like 8. I mean, Texas is big, right? But you can fit like 8 Great Britons into Texas.
I'm comparing it to a state over here.
Yeah.
I think it's like a kind of, I mean, this is kind of a far stretch, but if I was a band in Pennsylvania and we're like, yeah, we spent years just touring Pennsylvania, I'd be like, what the fuck?
I'd be like, dickhead.
I'd be like, I don't think that's called touring.
No, I mean, yeah, this is what I mean. Like when we were like going, playing gigs in Britain and be like, oh fuck, we got to drive 45 minutes to fucking Manchester, and it's like, oh, we got to drive like 4.5 hours to the next gig in the States. It's like that's the jump, But yeah, you can tour around because I guess, but because Britain's so small that people get used to not traveling. Like if you live in the Liverpool, Manchester area, you're flooded with gigs in either town, and you probably got half hour to drive. And Leeds is really close, like in and around London. There's some great places, but all these little places have somewhere that you can play. And if the whole idea is to like make it easy for people to come and see a show, you take the show to the people, right? So like, not that this is a kind of sort of like self-righteous kind of like sort of mentality, but it's just like, yeah, we'll just do it. I was working in British Telecom, I think, like a phone company in the UK in a call center. I think I booked our first tour from the staff room in there because I could get free phone calls on my sort of lunch break. So I literally went through a zine had a list of all the promoters around Britain, anyone who was doing any kind of relevant show. So I just literally be phoning people up on my lunch break and going, can we come and play? Can we come and play? And that's how we start getting tours in the UK, just by doing that. And you get up to Scotland, and 8 hours to Glasgow was one hell of a mission back then. It was a long way to go. And you go further north to like Edinburgh. Well, Edinburgh's just across, but up to Arbroath and up to Aberdeen and Dundee as well. We never made it to Ireland because there's water in the way. That was a bit of a pain in the ass. We never got there, but yeah, we played as much as we possibly could, and we kind of lucked out, man. We like in the UK, yeah, we were just able to keep it going. I think we were playing gigs, and that's why maybe we didn't we can't make a living from it, but we weren't making a living. We were just kind of like living. So we were just kind of working a job, doing some gigs, working a job, breaking a van, hiring another van, just keeping it going for as long as we could. And 8 years was about as long as we could keep it going, on that kind of.
Yeah. So through that time, and I want to talk about the serial killer comp first, eventually. But before that, like, how did you guys get along internally through those 8 years?
Oh, brilliant. We were really tight as a band, as friends. It's funny looking back at it, like we had our own kind of sense of humor. We didn't argue much as a band. Everyone has their fallouts. No one's perfect, but we did get on really well. Especially even when we toured together, we didn't really argue. We just kind of knuckled down and got on with the driving or playing shows, loading in.
Yeah, I think especially I think in when we came to like America for the first time. I remember our covers a couple of times, but we hadn't toured before. Bear in mind we'd driven like 3 hours to Derby to play an all day and then drive back that night, and that was all kind of fine. But we haven't really sort of like been in each other's pockets before we got to America.
Yeah, that's right.
So I think there's always going to be a couple of moments where you're just like, I'm fucking tired and I can't be arsed with shit, or someone's pissed and you're not pissed, or someone said the wrong thing, and but that just happens. But generally we were super tight.
I think the other thing you forget
the whole time.
Well, you did a lot of driving in American Canada.
Yeah, like, so basically the idea was we were going to share the driving. I think
so basically Colin, myself, Nathan couldn't drive at that time.
So I did a lot of the driving, and Ross was going to drive, but Ross loves it. Yeah, it didn't end up like, yeah, it didn't. I kind of think I did a lot of the driving, but I think actually, and to be fair as well, like, you know, very graciously when we went over there as well, Tom was like, you can come and stay at my house, and I was like, that's great, fucking, you know, you sleep on floors when you go to people's places, but we were kind of like 5 of us kind of piled into his house, and I think we were sleeping in like an office room or a spare room, and it's like. And it was like, this is great. But then, like, sort of 6 weeks later, you're like, fuck, this is, you know, fair play to him. He was very gracious and lent him his space. I don't, you'd have to ask him whether he got pissed off after a while with us being there. Like, but like, fair play to him. It was cool. Yeah, of course we had some arguments. You have a few beers and you have a difference of opinion, but that's people are people, and that's cool. But yeah, I think that generally for the most of the time we got on really well.
Was there like ever any pressure internally with you guys to be like, where someone was like, I really want us to get here, and then just getting frustrated that you weren't, or was that never an issue?
What, here as in like a kind of like
a success, like someone being, we should be on this label, we should be playing shows this big, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
No, we never had that.
I don't think so. I think we, like, musically, I think that like we all came from. It was all a bit like a variety of kind of influences and stuff like this. I don't think like I think what was really good about it, you know, to go back, was like we all had like our own little kind of like influences as far as music goes, and they all kind of crept into it. And if there was ever any kind of like sort of, oh, we need to do more of this, we need to do more of that, it was probably more about that.
It's a little bit like too many cooks spoil the broth.
Yeah, kind of like 5 people all had to put their kind of like, you know, their thumbprint on something, you know, but at the end of the day, that kind of, for instance, I know that I could sort of like, back in the day, I actually remember thinking to myself, I was like, this riff sounds like that band, totally, and I'm like, okay, I don't give a fuck, because when Colin sings over it, it won't sound like it. That eventually brings this kind of like thing where it's like, you know, Colin would, you know, start to come up with like sort of song ideas and stuff like this, and try and do this, and it was like someone, I don't want to do that kind of thing, I want to do more, you know, and you get a bit of that, and there was probably a couple of like grumpy stuff going on where someone didn't get their way, but I mean, you just brush it under the rug and get on with it. Yeah, we all always kind of got on. I think there was one point that like our drummer left for a bit, and we tried out a different drummer on tour,
which didn't work.
That didn't work at all.
Why?
Just they didn't have the same kind of feel or the rhythm, especially from being a bass player. Like there's so many parts in our songs that are kind of offbeat, and you know, just the rhythms change. And
he was kind of weird, yeah.
He came from like that sounds a weird thing.
No, I think Nathan, our drummer, it's just like, he was really fucking good. Like almost like to the point of, we didn't really know what we were doing as songwriting, or any kind of like, you got to play your part, you got to serve the song, any of these kind of things that you might learn down the line trying to write songs. He was trying to put like all these different like chops in there and stuff, and most of the time on stage we were just like trying to keep up with him, going, oh, what are you doing tonight, mate? Fuck, calm down, just fucking, you know. He was like fucking Lars in, and he was fucking some kind of monster.
He was ridiculous on tour as well, because especially when we went to American Canada, he used to play so fast.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? Like,
yeah, like most nights were basically a battle of trying to keep up with Nathan. It was like, yeah, we write the songs, and it was like, okay, this is quite quick anyway, and then it would be like, fuck, Nathan's on one, I can't play this quick, and then, you know. But yeah, we did manage, and like, you know, I got my stick caught in my sleeve. I'm like, oh fuck, that doesn't mean you played faster. But like, yeah, I mean, it was just.
Yeah, we battled when Nathan decided to call it a day, and then he came back.
Yeah. But, yeah, I think it was just one of those things. Like, we never really kind of like got on bad terms or anything like that with each other at all. It was never like sort of like, you know, fractious kind of situation. But yeah, it just kind of ran its course. I think as far as, you know, the 8 years go, we had like a bunch of songs that like never got recorded, they kind of came around from going like quite simple stuff like on Persona to going like fucking really weird stuff with like so many different parts but never really repeated themselves. And then it came back round to being at the end kind of quite simple and just like driving and stuff. And by that point, I think it just kind of, it just fizzled out. I think it was Phil. It was like, I'm kind of, no.
Yeah,
we're not going to sort of like rehash kind of thing. I think it was always just going to be the five of us, and the vibe's different.
It was kind of, I think I got to a pretty dark place in my life towards the end where I just didn't want to be in a band anymore. I'd been through a really bad breakup and selling a house, and I was like, I just can't be fucked with this anymore.
Yeah.
And it sounds really cliche to say, but it was like phoning up your best friend to say, I don't want to do this anymore. It was quite heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And we were in debt as a band because of paying back merch bills and rental van, all that kind of stuff. But I just didn't want to be in a band anymore. And we decided as a band then we would call it a day. And we played like a final show then in August. I think it was 2004.
But I mean, that all kind of wound up. But before that, it wasn't really. There's no bad vibes. I don't know,
there was never bad vibes.
To like a lot of people, obviously, you interviewed a lot of people. Do people talk about kind of like, situations between members and stuff like this? Like, do people have like fallouts and stuff? I don't know.
I think I asked that because my band, we were at each other's throats all the time. So I've said this in a couple interviews where I'm always intrigued that or fascinated by bands that got along really well all the time. And I think a lot of bands typically did. I think it seems like there's been few and far between where bands really were at each other's throats. It's more kind of like me. I mean, even growing up, me and my older sister, we were as siblings, we would always I was afraid of her. And then, so for me personally, when I talk to people who had great relationships with their siblings, I'm always like, I don't understand that. So I think that kind of translates over to the band thing, where I'm not trying to be like, all right, cool, where do you guys, fall apart? Because a lot of people, they only got to see a band when they showed up and played, or they had a CD out, or maybe an interview. They don't get to see kind of what was the internal structure of this band. So that's another reason why I ask it.
I think another big thing that chemistry worked in our band is because we were friends before we were in a band. Does that make sense? Like, so when we decided to do it, we had no kind of concept of if we start playing, we're going to maybe go on tour to America. It was just a case of we just want to play music and have fun. That's like the whole thing that was kind of driving us from the start. But we never had any kind of. We just got along really, really well as people, and the longer you go down the road in a band, you still know someone's personality, and if someone's in a bad mood or someone doesn't really want to talk, or we just how can I put it? We knew each other's vibe from being on the road, and especially being in each other's pockets. If someone needed a bit of time out, but we never fought as a band.
No,
never fought.
Like the whole thing, as Phil said, the whole thing started really organically. It was like, oh, we're all good mates, and I mean, admittedly, like as I said, previously, I kind of looked for Nathan. I looked for a drummer, and I found Nathan, and we were doing stuff. But it was a kind of probably about like 18 months, 2 years before Douglas, Doug at the time was like really kind of like writing songs and trying to do something without any real goal or anything. It all kind of organic, like, hey, yeah, you can sing. Initially we had like a different guy playing bass and singing, and he left to join Four Letter Word because they had a tour, and that was the first two gigs. And then it was like, Phil, you play guitar. There's two strings less to worry about. Why don't you play bass? He's like, okay, let's do that. And then like Colin was like eventually like, okay, I'll come and sing, blah blah blah, and try and go over the top of this. Maybe Colin had come to see us as a four piece, and actually was like, maybe, that looks fun. We all still mates around it, and it was like, it kind of was a real organic thing. And of course, you had like little rows and stuff, but there was no difference in. You mentioned before you go to see a band only when they turn up, and what that dynamic is on stage. You're kind of like, maybe there's something kind of intriguing about it, or these people like really good friends or something. But we were exactly the same people on and off. Like we didn't think about anything like in any kind of we're going to put a band together. I want to be in a band like that guy on stage. It was just like, should we just let's just do this, because this is naturally what we kind of did when we were like, 18, 19. We had rows, man. I remember one time Colin pulled me and Nathan aside and he was like, I know you haven't got any weed, but like you should stop being grumpy just because you haven't got any weed. And I was like, I'm getting told off my dad now. And I was like, yeah, maybe we need to stop smoking so much weed.
The funny thing is, like, me and Jamie,
that was pretty funny.
Me and Jamie live like down the road from each other, but we're still friends with the rest of the band. Like, Colin lives in France now.
Yeah.
Ross now lives in Cardiff, but I haven't seen him for a while. Oh, no, we have seen him.
We saw. Like Ross is doing really well, and then Nathan we don't really see too much, but like social media is a gift and a crux. But we get to see that he's still like he's happy and he's smiling and that's cool and stuff like this. I could text him, but he wouldn't answer maybe. But
we're still friends.
Yeah, I have friends like that too. You text them and when you hang out with them, you see them on their phone all the time. You're like, I know you fucking check your phone all the time. Like, don't try to bullshit me that you don't have your phone on you. I see it all the time.
I mean, yeah, we've always got on really well, and it's kind of like, when you asked me about doing this, I was like, I'll get Phil along, because it's like, of course we still go to the pub 2 minutes down the road and we have some beers and still chat about it, and I thought it'd be like so much more fun, sort of having a recap, having a catch up,
Yeah.
Because we're still good mates,
So let me ask you before I start wrapping this up. The serial killer comp, you guys remember this, right?
Yeah.
So how did that? What was your experience with that? Because that's how we found out about a lot of bands, and it seemed like everyone kind of had a different experience with that. So what was your experience with that coming out?
I remember that. I remember going to America.
I was fucking stoked.
I was fucking We went to America and Tom said, "Oh, I'm trying to get you guys on this serial killer comp." I mean, we knew the brand because it was obviously worldwide and it was
that blew up, didn't it?
It blew up massive. And
the beginning of a meme.
I remember him saying, "Oh, well, I'm going to try and get you on it. Would you be up for doing that?" And we were just like, "Fuck yeah, definitely, man." That's like how many people are going to hear that CD, because that was another big thing back then, is how many CD compilations came out from America. Where you'd hear different bands and get to experience it. It's
exactly. It was before Spotify and the ones and zeros. You bought compilations, before your computer just threw out lists of stuff you might like. Hey, here's something we designed for you, But then it was like you go to your local indie, music shop, and you go through the racks and you go to the compilation section and you
buy all of them.
Like I said, like Fat Music, Fat People, and all that whole kind of that whole series of stuff just was there's so many fucking great bands out there, and the Theologian stuff and Hopeless did stuff and all that, and oh fuck, we're on a compilation, with all these amazing bands, and that was class, man, and
I remember being really
and we got loads of free t-shirts. I was fucking hey, none of them fit me because I'm tiny, but they're fucking I'm stoked, I'm really happy.
I remember being really pleased that at the drive-in we're on that. I was
well, this is it, man, so at the drive-in we're on it.
Yeah, and Blink's on it too. Blink-182's on it.
Are they?
Yeah, they're I have it up in front of me. I mean, I have the Discogs page, but they're number 6. They have a song called Zulu on there.
Really? I didn't know Blink on it. I can't remember. I don't know where my copy would be. There's, as I said, we're not archivists or anything like that. I wish I had all this stuff, because I've just been really bad with moving around and going CDs are just things. I don't need things anymore. But wow. But
I'll send you. Actually, I'll put a screenshot in the chat. You guys can see.
Oh, do.
The band's on. Let me 1 second. Yeah, this was. I mean, that was a big. It was not. I don't know. Explain. It's not big, but it was. Yeah, I just sent a screenshot.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, it was a mixture of bands who were really small and then these huge bands, and obviously because Fearless had connections with everyone.
Yeah.
But I mean there were so many things great about that. The band's on it. I mean, the cover art, if you were a teenage boy, these two naked chicks making out. I mean,
it
was great.
Do you want to know what we were most stoked about? I don't know. It was the most stoked.
I remember this.
We got
a box.
We got a box of stuff from that Tom had obviously arranged with whoever does Serial Killer. I can't remember who it was, but they sent us over stuff. I don't know where this is, but I think we got
Jenna Jameson.
No, I don't know what it was, but we had that cover. Was it two girls on the front or one? I can't remember.
Was it a girl on the skate deck?
With a couple of skateboards signed
To Douglas.
To Douglas. I mean, she could have written, I don't know who you are, but someone paid me to sign this poster for you. But we were really stoked on that. It was in my garage in the poster tube for a while. It was like, that was probably the only, we've made it, guys.
We had like, I think we had like 6 t-shirts and hoodies and beanies and just kind of like.
And we were like, fuck all the clothes, check this poster out. Like, it's huge, and it's mine. I can't, because I was probably still living with my mum, so we probably couldn't put it up.
I think the cover was a full poster or something, right?
We had that whole cover signed by whoever that lovely lady was. I hope she's doing well.
I think I had this. So I interviewed Joanna, who was one of the owners of the partners for Serial Killer, and we were talking about this. This is a couple years ago, but I could swear that that's like Janine or something.
Yeah, that's the name. That's the name. Janine something. I can't remember.
Really?
Yeah, she was the one who was in the Blink. She was the cover of Blink, and in the What's My Name Again video where they're running around naked.
That's the girl.
Is it?
Yeah.
I have to double check again. I just had this conversation a couple years ago, and I'd have to go back and listen to this part. But I could swear that we said it was her.
But I'm looking down this like list of bands, and it's so good. Like
we played with loads of those bands.
Yeah, like Strung Out. Gob we played with in Canada. They were like really lovely guys.
They were big, right? Isn't God like? Didn't they become a huge?
They were like the Blink-182 of Canada.
They were fucking. No, I don't know if they were that big at that point, but like they were huge, man, in Canada. And like the first show we played with Gob, I think
we were late.
We were late, and I nearly threw up because we were driving all the way through the night, and we were like, we can't knock it, and there was snow blizzards. So this is on the first tour.
That's right.
This is the first tour.
Yeah.
So we were driving all the way up to Canada.
They had to play because no band had turned up, so they played, and then we turned up and we played, and then Bigwig played.
We literally got out of the van, put stuff on stage, played a gig. I think I threw up on the side of the stage because I was feeling really ill from all the. I don't know what.
You did from the driving.
Yeah, from all the driving, and then just getting up and just hungry and whatever, like. But like it was like, and then we got to watch God the next day, and was like, oh, that was ridiculous. We just played it after this band. People must have been so pissed off, like, but. We met some amazing people in Canada, man. Like,
he was a drummer core in that band. He was in. He was a
Brand New Unit.
Yeah, he was a drummer.
Was the drummer from Gob in Brand New Unit?
That's right. That's right. That's it.
I have no idea. I knew about Gob. I never really listened to them.
Gob were great, and Brand New Unit were fucking amazing. Do you know that band? Brand New Unit.
Mm-mm.
They're amazing. You need I think they're one of those. I actually found that they're on Spotify now, like, because it wasn't on there for ages, and I was listening back and I was like, they were so good.
That guy was so nice.
Brand New Union, you said?
Brand New Unit.
Brand New Unit.
Yeah, like from Vancouver, I guess. Yeah, they were a really good band, like more hardcore. Gob was like more of a much more melodic kind of like harmonies and stuff. Brand New Unit with a little bit more kind of like.
Drum was amazing.
Yeah, like they were just great. But this kind of compilation, going back to it, like. I remember that, like, we hadn't heard At the Driving at that point, and we were like, okay, this, we were listening through the comp, and we probably got to, like, Keeping Up and skipped. And then At the Driving came on, and we were like, this is fucking mental. Like, if you look at that, like, list of, like, bands, they're all great bands. Like, like, I remember Bracket. Fun Size, like, 30'4", like, who else remember, like, Overdrives, of course, Diesel Boy, like, was that a cover? Fuck yeah. Zeke. I remember Zeke, yeah. Like Rhythm Collision, like to love them. Cooter were another band on GFY.
Eight Fingers Louie.
Eight Fingers Louie. Didn't some guy from Eight Fingers Louie go on to be in like Rise Against or something?
Yeah, the bass player and the guitarist started Rise Against. So I interviewed Dennis about that, and
wow,
they had presented that to him, and I think he was like, eh. And so then they got Tim to sing for them. So now it's just Joe from '88, and then the guitar player. I don't know the story, but I think the first one got kicked out. So, but yeah, he's still in Rise Against, just printing money.
And they're huge.
Oh, gigantic! They're so fucking insanely big.
You listen back to 88 Fingers Louie records, and you're just like, that's nuts, man. I just remember the guy from 88 Fingers Louie, like looking at pictures on the back of their CDs and thinking, yeah, as a punk band, like the guitar player was just like looked like a proper like tech metal.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
80 Fingers Louie? You don't remember them?
I remember that band, but I don't remember.
Because I would just remember looking at listening to them play, thinking like this rips, and then looking at the guitar player, thinking like, wow, you look out of place in this man.
Oh, he totally
But,
does. Oh yeah, he had the long hair, like the metal guitar.
he looked like he was he should, I don't know, in some like real tech prog kind of vibe. He's
what band did he go on to be?
Was he in Rise Against? No, he wasn't. Was he?
I think him and Joe were on the first record.
Right.
And they still have the original drummer, and then Joe's the bass player. And I always forget this guy's name. He's like it's like Mr. something. I forget what they call him.
Oh shit! Yeah, fuck. I have to pick it out. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Hold on, 80 Fingers Louie. What the fuck do they call him? Mr. Precision. That was it.
Mr. Precision. That's right. Yeah. But I remember going back and At the Drive-In were on there, and that was kind of crazy because that's a really long story actually with At the Drive-In. I mean, because the first time we came across them was on this comp, and actually we had a day off in New York.
We were in New Jersey. We went to New York to see At the Drive-In.
They were playing it was the Veya tour, and it was like Blue Tip was supporting them, and then a UK band were third on the bill, and we went to. Can you remember the venue in New York?
It was called Brownies.
Brownies?
Brownies. So I think you'd be like either at Brownies, Coney Island High, Bowery Ballroom, but Brownies sounds right.
So we went down to see him, and it was like we'd heard this one song that was on this like compilation, and it was like, that's fucking mental. I haven't heard anything like, and especially like even you look at that now, and it's like, okay, that's going to sound so different to everything else on this compilation. Now we know all the bands. And
I got a funny story about that gig. Like we went to that gig, and by the way, I was 20 on this tour.
Oh, you couldn't drink.
So I had fake ID, and Jamie forgot his passport. So I had this fake ID. Jamie couldn't drink at the gig.
Fucking fuming. Fucking fuming. But it was like this Red Letter. Was it about? I don't know. Anyway, the first band played, they were cool. Blue Tip were fucking great.
Blue Tip were amazing.
And we really went on to love a lot of, Jason Farrell stuff after that, and incredible. And At the Drive-In came on, and we had that whole boombox on top of the amp, and I was like, what the fuck is this? And they had, back then, they had massive afros, and me and Phil were like going, fuck, no way, man. Like, they're from Texas. There's no way that's their real hair. Like, they're just wearing wigs, man. They're taking the piss. Like, it's just fucked. And it blew our minds. It was fucking incredible. And we went back and got into Veya and tracked more down. In Casino Out. In Casino Out was before that, and then Relationship with Command came out years after that, and it was like, fucking hell, that band's insane. I was going back to when that Serial Killer comp came out, the storyline. I ended up working for At the Drive-In, and it was just like, fuck, this is like.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So I after Douglas, I guitar teched and was a backline tech for years and years and years.
I remember you doing that.
I basically finished when the pandemic hit, and
holy shit.
So yeah, I was touring with bands for years after Douglas, and I remember. So they split, didn't they? Or they went on hiatus.
They split right around Relationship of Command when that came out, and then they went to Mars Volta and Sparta.
So when in the States when exactly. So in the States when they came back and did Coachella.
Yeah.
And Omar wasn't moving, and it was.
Yes. Yeah.
So I did the I was sitting in the park with my friends drinking cider, and I got a phone call. I was a bit pissed, and someone was like, "What are you doing?" Blah 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 blah. I think I guess it was someone American. I can't remember. Maybe their tour manager. And I was like, "Yeah, I think I'm free. What's going on?" And he was like, "We need a tech for a band." I was like, "Cool. Yeah, that's fine. I could potentially do this. Who is it?" I mean, you don't really ask who it is. It's just work, right? And he was like, "Yeah, so it's At the Drive-In. We're going back and we're doing sort of Reading and Leeds festivals and then Brixton Academy." I was like, and I was just sitting there going, I might be able to make that. I'll just check my diary, obviously. And I was fucking going, whoa, this is mental. And I instantly snapped back to that fear, this comp. And the moment me and Phil were watching them going this is fucking nuts. Yeah. And it was
even I thought that was wild. I was like, can you get me tickets?
Well, you went to the show, and I was like, I'm not getting you tickets. You can buy your own fucking tickets, man. You know what I mean? I've earned my place on this gig. You earned your place,
Yeah, I was really happy for Jamie doing that, because it is almost like a full circle.
Yeah, that was cool. It was like, but I did those 2 gigs. I did those 3 gigs, and it was weird, man. It was like they were the loveliest guys. They'd only kind of just got back together. They obviously they were probably living in like different cities and stuff, and I think most of them in LA. And Jim was still down in El Paso.
Yeah, he's still there.
Yeah, he's still there. Yeah, I've seen him since.
Wait, let me ask you. Okay, so you get this totally fits with this whole thing because we're talking about that at the drive-in, and I just personally want to know because so fuck everyone else. So you guitar teched for them when they played Coachella and there's a couple of those festivals, right?
I only did the UK gigs.
Okay, so let me ask you then what.
So like they had a few techs who were they did Coachella, I think Lollapalooza in Chicago, and people were just fucking up the gigs.
Oh wow, really?
However, they were getting in and like just looking after the guitars and stuff, and they were like, "You just got to get this right." And I was like, "How can you not get this right? It's pretty simple." We had a few moments, but we had to kind of iron out the creases a little bit. Yeah, I only did the 3 gigs, but it was the same kind of that little run where I believe the Brixton Academy show was the last gig they did on that kind of finishing off.
Well, they toured after they recorded their latest album.
So I think after that gig, the next day, Omar got in a car and he went and did that Bosnian Rainbows thing.
Well, so you had said this, and I had talked about this with many people, and I think it was pretty well known because Omar just kind of sat, like he just stood there, and then back when you were talking about when you were originally saw them at Brownies, that's when they would go completely off. I heard a rumor that he was kind of having a shit time because his mom had just passed away like the day before Coachella or something.
Yeah. I think that was kind of going around the press. Like I didn't really I didn't have those conversations. You know?
Yeah, I'm sure, but like you had a back. I was always wondering why he just stopped. He stopped being so crazy on stage?
I think that like my impression as like a bystander, like a watcher, you know, and like a fan of that band was like I heard that leading up to Coachella, they were doing some warm up gigs. I believe he did like in El Paso and a few other different places. I heard the same stories that you did, that like his mum had passed away and that like it just hit home kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of like sort of translated into the fact that like his presence on stage and stuff like this. And like, you know, like, so it would be out of place to kind of assume anything else.
Yeah, I was wondering if there was an actual, and again, I'm not like, you know, probing for any dirt. I mean, like, I think just some people listening or fans, and they thought that, and I was just always wondering if there was a conversation behind the stage where you guys were like, because you seeing him as a fan, being like, what the fuck, like, why isn't he doing his thing?
I watched Coachella on like YouTube. I was like, I gotta fucking, this is gonna go off, and I was like, I mean, Cedric's was exactly the same as I remember him, just like full of beans, and actually Omar is just like, you know, really fucking nice guy, and had some like as a guitar tech. Some, you know, kind of weird moments in the first day of rehearsals. Well, not weird, but just like
surreal.
Wow, it's just kind of like, you see your favorite band. Like, you know, I'm sitting there. We got higher gear and stuff, so I met the crew, and everyone's really nice, and we're setting some stuff up, and then a band come in. And I'm like, fuck, this is amazing. Hi, how you doing? Introduce yourself, and then it's like they're trying to learn some songs, and there was one song I believe on In Casino Out. I can't remember which one it was, but just because my memory is awful. But I remember them going, well, we got to relearn this song for the UK crowd. Cosmonaut? Was that on?
I think that was on.
That was on Relationship Command.
Yeah, Relationship Command. It was towards the end. Whatever.
Oh my God, Catacombs.
Catacombs, yeah.
Yeah.
Badass tune.
Fucking
and like
song.
that was on a Kerrang compilation in the UK. I think around the time Relationship came out as a promotional kind of like thing for a record, and obviously it was one like we heard.
I remember you sending me a photo. I remember this vividly because we knew, obviously being friends. I knew that Jamie had this gig working at the drive-in, and Jamie sent me a picture of them rehearsing, like not like full performance, but just rehearsing. It's like he didn't even have to put words to the text message, and I was like, damn, man.
Yeah, I remember taking that photo, but because I had my sort of like guitar tech box set up, like whatever I was doing, stringing some guitars and setting up. But I remember like they were trying to do Catacombs, and they couldn't remember how to play it. And I just remember like Jim and Omar if this was like, this is, bear in mind, this is one of my favorite fucking bands, and they were like kneeling on the floor around a phone, like on Spotify with the song, like just there in the middle of the room, just kind of like just trying to relearn the song, like the three of them, and they were all kind of just listening to their phone. I was like, I know it's been a while, but man, this is fucking weird. And you know what? It made sense. You know what? All it was like every band's the fucking same. You know, it doesn't matter how fucking big you are. There's one tune that you can't remember or some shit like this.
Totally.
And it's like,
we've had it.
Oh, they're just trying to learn their song again. I mean, that's cute. But, oh, it's fucking At the Drive-In. And then, like, that was amazing. And obviously, you know, as soon as they kind of, like, the PA cranked and we were in the room, I guess we had ears, but in-ears, and it all sounded fucking amazing. And I, like, little moments, like, going through Jim's keyboards and the sample pads for the beginnings of certain songs of there, because it was, like, a kind of real electronic departure for them from, you know, we're talking about the driving we are Douglas now, but like, yeah, these little moments where I was like, fuck, you know, and we did those 3 gigs and yeah. And I've been in touch, like I met Jim once since then when I was in El Paso on tour, but
that's such a great story, dude. That's so crazy.
It's fucking cool though, man. Like going from like being like, look, you know, we moved from a serial killer comp and I was just like, yeah, we saw that band in Brownies and they blew my fucking mind. And over the like, next couple of years, I got, I don't know, it was 2012 or 13, I think, that they finished off Relationship with Command. I remember Jim at Brixton saying, we finally got to finish this fucking tour, you know, 9 years after they kind of went on hiatus or what, split up or whatever. And yeah, I guess it was just like, it's a money thing, you know, they needed to make some money. They wanted to finish the tour. They would have got offered a bunch over the years. That money would have probably reached, I don't know, like, you know, why, you know, like.
Yeah, they probably made stupid amount of money for that shit.
Yeah, 100%. And like, they put out another record since then for like, whatever reason they felt like doing that and stuff like this, but they're all off. Omar is one of the most, he just throws out records like fucking people throw bread to ducks, you know, it's ridiculous. It's like he's an insane musician.
So kind of on that note, did you guys, just to kind of transfer to you guys and then like we'll end this, have you guys ever gotten back together and played reunion shows?
Yeah.
We did. We got together in, I can't remember, we did the final show in 2004 and then we took a while after that because
I started touring.
You started touring. Colin, was in another band. Nathan was Nathan in a Take then?
Nathan joined our friend's band. He was kind of like at the end of Douglas. He was doing like our band and our friend's band, I believe, at the same kind of time. And he, you know,
did Nathan play with Colin's band?
Nathan played with Colin's band for a while. I did some acoustic gigs with Colin. I did another band, a couple of other bands and some sessions, music stuff.
We did a show. We did a reunion show in January of, I'm going to say, sort this out, maybe 2006, 2007. We did that. That was really well received. It was, you know, especially for a local gig. And then we played a charity gig, believe it or not, coming back full circle.
They're both benefits.
Yeah, so both benefits. One was for a good friend of ours, the first one, called Craig, and the second time we actually did a benefit show in a really small place for 2 nights on a Saturday and Sunday for John Sisler, is that pronounce that right? He, who was the owner of TJ's, which you were talking about earlier.
That club in Newport, he was the owner. Unfortunately, he kind of passed away, and they were trying to raise money for TJ's and for his family. It was a great show. We just basically got back to like the first one. Craig was a very good friend of ours, and he got really ill and actually was in a coma. And we wanted to, I think someone like fronted the idea. I'm not too sure how it came about, but we kind of got back together and did a gig. Yeah, for him, and then we did like one in La Pub in Newport for the, TJ's in Newport for the owner of that as a kind of like a
2 nights. It was
2 nights just to raise some money for sort of like charities or whatever. So for the memory of himself, and they were great fun. The reason for doing the gig was kind of poignant and stuff like this, but actually it was kind of funny, in hindsight, because like let's wind this band up, back in the day and kind of finish off, and it was like let's do some gigs again. Oh, maybe this will be fun. And it's like, and then you book a rehearsal, and then it's like trying to book a rehearsal. You're like, oh, this is why I didn't want to do this. This is in the ass. You know what I mean? Like,
It sucks, dude. It's like when you're a kid, it all you have is time, and even when you're getting your 20s, you're still like you're working a job trying to figure it out, but you want to do the fun things. But as an adult, when it's like just to get a couple people in the room, so you get 5 of you have to show up at this place, but then it's like, okay, we're gonna practice at like, I don't know, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, and you're like, oh, it's so late.
Yeah, exactly. No, it's exactly that. Man. It's like fucking, and even with us, it was like we went to the action. It was like I've been on tour, like as I said, I kind of finished doing Douglas and started work with other bands and stuff. So you used to your schedules and your tour manager and stuff, and I was like, I'll take lead, right? So when's everyone available for like rehearsals and stuff like this and blah blah blah, and so I got time frame right. Everyone's available on this day and this day, and someone's like, I can't make it because the bus is cancelled and like,
no credit.
I've got no credit, and like I just won't be able to. Or they'll turn up and go, oh sorry, I didn't bring £3 for my fucking practice. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake,
how old are you?
Like you're fucking 40 or some shit. Like it wasn't 40, but like it's the same. Like it was brilliant, but at the same time, like, oh fuck, this is why.
It's quite a lot. It's quite hard work to get like 5 people who live in different parts of everywhere and get them together to practice and then get it tight to how it was before. And it's a lot of work to get to play that one show that people really want to see.
Yep.
I really wouldn't want to do it either.
It was hard, man, and we borrowed a bunch of gear from our friend's band. They were rehearsing. They were a touring band, and I was working with them. And as I said, I was like, yeah, we need like let's dial this in, let's tune it up, and like been used to working with professional touring bands, and like, yeah, we need to get this really tight. Let's just be better than before. And it was like, it's a fucking wasted battle, isn't it? Let's just learn the songs and just smash it out. And it was great, and everyone had a good time. But like, I was chatting to another friend of mine who'd gone from being in a punk rock band to being a tech, and he's used to wearing like in-ears and stuff, and like he was trying to get his band to wear in-ears, and they're like, fuck off, mate. I got monitors. I don't fucking just turn it up. Like, none of this like new school kind of crap. Like just, so it was kind of back to exactly what it was like 15 years ago. Let's just chat out with like smash out a song. It was fun, man. It was fun doing a couple of gigs. And me and Phil have sort of, we've often said, like, if someone said, would you want to do a gig again? Would you? And we'd be both been like, nope. like it was cool, and like we love talking about it.
I think I remember playing the last show, and it was so amazing. Like it was
great.
We actually played hometown in this quite big place called what's that place called? College Change. We played that. We sold it out. And I think we made enough money from that one gig to pay off all our debts that we'd racked up over the years. And then, which honestly, like, it was so incredible, that gig. And then when the offer came about to do this reunion show, which felt like it was, I'm going to say it was maybe 2-3 years later.
I can't remember.
I can't remember the exact date, but at first I really didn't want to do it. I wasn't feeling the idea of playing again, because I hadn't played music after being in a band. And then eventually my arm got twisted. I said, okay. And we had rehearsals and blah, blah, blah. And I absolutely loved it. I just felt like it all came rushing back, the whole being in a band, and this is what we did when we were younger. And then I think it was another maybe 2 years later that we did the charity show for John. And I loved both of those days. That like I was really up for it, like because they were like club shows that we had done in the beginning, like really small. Like I don't even know how many people fit in.
It was only like 90 people.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
In a room we could hold 50, and it was just like
it wasn't too intimidating. It was like just do our thing, and But I honestly after being in a band for 8 years and doing the reunion show, you just feel like you're, what's the saying, like flogging a dead horse, like trying to keep people still interested. I know there's people who would love for us to play again in Cardiff, but I feel like that ship has sailed, and I like looking back on the memories of how it was, you know?
Yeah, there's something to it, man. I mean, I was talking to me and my old drummer, we always talk all the time, and he's like, "Man, I really want to play music and stuff." I was like, dude, maybe. I was like, "Well, why don't you go and do it?" I was like, "You can just get your guitar and just go play an open mic or something." He's like, "Oh, I don't know." I go, "Then you probably don't really want to do it." Like,
Yeah.
it's like if you wanted to, you would do it. I go, maybe there's just a time and place where this was the time and this was the time you did it, and then that's the part of your life that's over. I think I said this to someone else the other day. I was like, when I was a little kid, I was like really loved playing with GI Joes, but as I got older, I was like, I don't think I really want to revisit that.
Yeah.
It's like there was a time and a place for it. I'm like, I kind of outgrew this.
I think so. I mean, I definitely with a band and stuff, like, if you're going to go, you were in like Lane Meyer? Lane Meyer?
Lane Meyer, yeah.
Lane Meyer, yeah. We played together, right?
I don't know. I possibly.
I was chatting to Monkey about this, and he's like, "I swear you did." And I think I saw a flyer where you're on the same bill. I might be wrong, but I definitely like.
We may have. I think we did. I can look at that. Actually, I should look at that archive thing.
What are you doing these days?
So what's his Monkey doing these days?
I don't know. I talked to him like I'll hit him up or he'll message me about something because he'll correct me and be like, "Oh, I remember that show," or "This was the thing." So because he listens to the podcast, and then he keeps connecting me with people to interview because I'll hit him up and say, "Hey, do you know?" Like with you guys, I was like, "Yo, do you know the guys from Douglas?" He's like, "Oh, fuck yeah!" Like let me reach out to him. So he's been such a good connection.
I love Monkey.
Yeah.
I'd love to see Monkey again.
Monkey's great.
He actually, because I had Adam from Link 80, I had interviewed him a couple years ago, and I just had him back on, and it was just kind of a recap. It was a lot of fun. So then Monkey hits me up. He's like, "Yo, you got to have me back on the show." I was like,
I got more to say, man.
yeah, he's like, "I got this. Oh man, listen to these stories. I can like add to them." I was like, "All right, maybe we'll do that."
You've had your hour and a half, mate. You fucking rein it in, son.
Yeah, I was like, "Stop being selfish."
Love Monkey.
Man, Monkey's fucking great, man.
Yeah, man, it's amazing. He has connections still with everyone he knew back then.
That's amazing. I kind of like feel like I wish I did. Like it's so hard as obviously the older you get and you're going to move around the place, and it's really hard to keep those connections. And like having these conversations is really cool. It's like, fuck, I wish I was in touch with all these people and knowing if anyone like where we met like down the line and back in the day like is listening, then that's fucking sorry we didn't keep in touch, but like we had the best time.
Yeah, it was an absolute like best trip ever. Like looking back on it, I mean, I still look back on it with fond memories. Just being able to go to America with no CD or no album and tour that with another band who were like-minded like us was
great.
Honestly like a dream come true for a 20-year-old.
Yeah, amazing, man. It's like everyone was so cool. Our time in New Jersey was amazing. Like it's fucking great. And JK, was it JK the Welk?
Well, JK, that's it.
Yeah, JK, the guy
drove us loads.
Was it the first tour? Second tour?
First tour, I believe, and maybe the second.
An absolute legend. Actually, like, there's a guy called JK, like from New Jersey, who's like we can't not mention because he was an absolute star. I believe he was a friend of Bigwig's. I'm not sure what the connection was.
He was friends with Josh.
He's friends with Josh.
Yeah.
But he drove us for ages, and he was like raging in the car, like he's like. The only reason, like, it was like because like so Bigwig had Monkey, right? And we were like, we got to call JK something. So we called him the Welk. I'm not too sure why we called him Welk.
We were like, just being Welsh, we were like, we need to give this guy a nickname. He needs to be like.
So he was the Welk.
He was the Welk. And like, honestly, before we came to this, I was like, if you're going to talk about that guy called the Welk, I can't remember his original name.
Yeah, JK, yeah.
JK, yeah.
Jason Carl.
Jason, that's right.
Yeah, and like, he drove with us and drove us around the place, and he was an absolute legend, and he came on tour, and he
was a really nice guy.
We had fucking good times. He raged when we were raging, and what a fucking legend. Everyone was so super cool. And I actually believe people we met in Canada might have come to Wales, and we went down to see Dylan Thomas's house. There's a girl called Olivia. Do you remember a girl?
I remember Olivia.
Yeah, like
I remember the name Olivia.
She came to Cardiff, and after that, we took her around some places in South Wales and showed her some places. It's just so much fond memories, and I've been to the States a bunch of times, as has Phil. I haven't managed to meet up with anyone since.
I went to New York with some friends in 2000 and I want to say 2004, 2005, and I actually met up with John Castaldo, who's the bass player from
Bigwig.
Yeah. And I think Monkey came.
Did you?
And Laura.
Yeah.
You start with Tom.
Yeah.
Melissa was there.
Really?
Shout out to Melissa.
Shit.
Which was so nice after 5 years of not seeing them. It was. Yeah, we went for a drinking. Funny enough, it was actually CBGB's, but it wasn't CBGB's. It was the bar next to it, and we met up with them.
That was amazing.
It was wicked.
I haven't seen any of it. I saw Matt Gray, actually. I think he was teching for the Ataris.
He's been teching for Starting Line still to this day, but I think he did the Ataris. I think he talked about he's teched for a bunch of people.
Yeah, I swear I was at Reading Festival and I was like walking past the back of a van and I was like, fucking what's going on in the back of a van? I was like, oh, it's Matt Gray's in the back of the van. Fuck, haven't seen him in years. I swear I bumped into him and I think I bumped into Horse. Did we meet? There was a guy called Horse.
Yeah, Horse was their other roadie. I was trying to get him on this and we just couldn't collaborate.
Jamie told me earlier that have you interviewed everyone from Bigwig?
So the whole Bigwig camp, it was like Monkey, Tom. I talked to Josh, who was in Bigwig after, not first Josh, second Josh.
Second Josh. Josh Reno, right?
Is that the Josh Reno?
Josh from the Overdrives.
Oh, man.
No, I think it's Josh, the original Josh.
What? I don't know. They changed their lineup so many times.
Have you interviewed John Castaldo?
No, John didn't want to do it. Who else did I? No. Oh, then I interviewed Matt Gray. That's a wild interview. You should listen to that one.
I kind of started listening to it, and I was just about getting in. I was like, right, I need to give this more time. I need this story. Matt's fucking great. I mean, did we go to a house party somewhere in Pennsylvania?
I stayed at his house with Colin, because I think everyone went home and Colin said that it was fucking weird.
Didn't we go to a party in Pennsylvania? And there was a pond and there was a massive rope swing.
Yeah, I think that's the place. But you guys ended up going and me and Colin.
Did you stay there?
Stayed the night there at this house and it just got a bit weird.
Fuck. I don't remember.
His dad came back.
His dad came back.
I think Colin were trying to pretend we were asleep. It was fucking weird.
Fucking hell, man.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
It was great, man.
Monkey just replied too, and he said Jason Carl. He said he's a high school friend of John and Josh from Bigwig, and he's like, yeah, he drove the Douglas guys in John's minivan.
Yeah.
So it was John's minivan when we talked, and you said you're trying to figure out in the very beginning.
Yeah. John's minivan. I said, yeah, and JK drove us, man. It was fucking amazing. I don't think he was with us when we broke. Was it? That wasn't when we broke down. Was it?
He wasn't with us. That was us.
Yeah, we broke down
in Adele. I always remember this.
Adele, Georgia. And we broke down
for 3 days.
Oh,
we had to stay in this fucking motel. We fixed the fan, and then the fucking. It was just there was a swimming pool, but it was warm. It was like a proper Stand By Me kind of town, and it was like fuck. And then we just come back from Florida, and then we got pulled over because some guy was.
Thought we were
the guy was like, "Have you taken any drugs?" And I was like, "Nope, promise." Literally.
So basically, we got the van fixed, and we had to wait for at least 24 hours for the van to put. I want to say a new carburet. Something to do with the engine. Anyway.
It overheated. It was so bad, and we were just.
So we had to get it fixed, and we spent 24 hours or over 24 hours, and we were losing our minds. And then the guy who was fixing the van said, "Your van's ready." So he came to pick us up, drove another 40 minutes to where his garage was, and then he said, "Your van's ready to go. You can hit the road to get back to New Jersey," because that's obviously where our base was. And I remember. We were all in the van and we're driving up and we passed the sign for Adele where we'd been for the last 20 minutes, and we were all out the window middle fingers just fuck you Adele, fuck you. And then literally I think it was about not even half an hour the van just fucking crashed again, and we were like, oh fuck. We had to take it back to that garage.
We did.
You didn't fix it right.
We were there for fucking ages. Basically something overheated, the AC wasn't working, there's 6 of us in the spot. 5 of us?
5. It was only
5 of us, but driving this car.
It was so fucking hot as well. We used to play stupid games where we would roll up all the windows because
and then climb in sleeping
bags and make sure you were the hottest you possibly could get. Like,
oh God.
Like, I remember this. And we'd like do it for like 5 minutes and then take like all the sleeping bags off and then just open the windows just to get that kind of experience of cool air.
Man, America's big, man.
You got a lot of time to fucking think for yourself.
Fucking hell. If I had to hear Lit on the radio one more time, like... Oh, there was some fucking great stuff, man. Like, so many good trips.
Well, I'm gonna wrap this up because I gotta get some stuff done, but I fucking love this.
Sorry, man. I kind of realized halfway through that we just go from topic to topic and time and place, and it's...
No, it's fine.
Yeah.
This is like every interview. It doesn't have to be linear.
Man. Like, good luck editing.
Oh yeah. No, I mean I keep pretty much the whole thing in, unless there's been a couple times where there's been past stories where I think like I'll tell a story and I'm like, no one wants to fucking hear that, so I'll chop it out. But no, this is great.
No one wants to hear that, Phil.
Yeah, it's like everyone wants to hear the shit that I have to say. But
yeah, this is going to be like 15 minutes, and it's be like, fuck, really, that was some serious editing.
No, this will be like 2 hours long.
Isn't it?
All right, man. Well, 2 questions before we go. One, what would you like to plug? It could be about anything you guys are doing. It could be about something someone else is doing, or it could be both.
Oh God.
I'm going to plug the man sitting next to me, Phil. He's actually incredible illustrator right now, and everyone should check out his Instagram.
What is it? What's the Instagram?
PM
at PM Illustration. Like, I do art for a living now. I've never played music since like not being in Douglas. Like, I just do art for a living now, like for skateboard companies and blah blah blah. And but my Instagram is at PM Illustration.
Yeah, and everyone needs to go and check that out. He's done some he's a humble man, but like as far as things to plug that, everyone should go and check out his work.
I just followed you with my comic.
Have you? Did you find it?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's fucking really good.
He does amazing stuff, man. He's like, yeah.
This is cool. What's the ice cream thing on like the sidewalk?
Oh, it's a skateboard.
Okay, that is a skateboard.
It's a skateboard I cut out, like jigsawed out with a. It's like a recycled skate deck.
Okay, this is fun, man. This is really cool.
He's done some amazing stuff, man. So as far as plugging stuff, yeah, that's great.
Okay. Anything else?
We don't have any more tour dates coming up. Like, we're not like going on tour.
There's nothing in the calendar, but if you
might release a couple of singles down the line, the best of.
As long as you're vaccinated, you'll be able to get in. I want to see your passport.
We're definitely coming back to New Jersey. We're definitely come back there.
Yeah.
To play a couple of shows.
Yeah, you go to Wayne Firehouse and West.
Fuck. Yeah, Wayne. I remember that. When it? Wayne Firehouse. You've got a list of flyers.
Yeah, let me send you the link. Actually, I tried to go. So it's njpparchives.com, but for some reason it's saying my connection is not private. It's not letting me go to his site.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
There's amazing gigs, man. Like, I should be really interested to like look at all these things because, like, you know, actually in New Jersey we were like so lucky, like playing with Newfound Glory and the Hippos, and like I think we played a gig with Western and
Anti-Flag. We went on tour.
Anti-Flag. We played with, like, yeah, but like New Jersey stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh, New Jersey.
All these kind of places. I wanted to try and remember like where we played with like all these bands because we just didn't have copies of flyers back in the day. We'd be like, "Yeah, we're playing a gig. Let's drink," and then you just wake up the next morning, and it was all fucking great. But I don't have. It'd be really nice to see like actually all the places we played. Probably more nice. You know?
Yeah,
I'll send you guys the link.
Also, when we played with the Ataris and the Beefcakes, and you dropped that guy's bass on the floor.
Oh shit! You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. No, what was that band that we played with? I dropped
Beefcake, wasn't it?
Beefcake.
Yeah, Beefcake. Yeah, so yeah, I talked to John from Beefcake.
So Beefcake,
he went on to be in the Ataris.
He did, but I swear that like that was that gig that we did, and you were trying to borrow a bass. I don't think Bigwig borrowed it. But the Ataris, we were on, but just before the Ataris.
It was on Rickenback, and I remember playing.
And he was like, "Don't drop it,
don't drop it!" And the strap came off the bass, and it hit the floor, and the whole crowd were like, "Ooh!" I remember making this noise, Like, and I was like, fuck, like, I can't even look around. But the guy, I was looking for the guy whose bass he belonged to. I was going, oh, sorry, man. He's like, no, it's cool, man, it's cool. Like,
he wasn't cool, though, was he?
He wasn't cool. And I think that gig, I got punched in the face by someone in the crowd. So
Did you?
Just punched me in the face.
Oh, that was the gig.
Yeah,
someone in New Jersey, like, punched Phil in the face. Like,
someone punched me in the face from the crowd because it was a show that was on ground level. And I think someone, I don't know.
Someone
I didn't do it. I didn't do it. Someone just reached out and punched me in the face. I remember, and Monkey was like, "What the fuck? Like who fucking punched Phil?" Like, we were just like,
yeah, that was amazing.
Just trying to remember stories from back then.
That's fucking funny. Yeah, I just sent you, Jamie. I just sent you a link in your Instagram for the flyers. So there's. Yeah, it goes right to a Facebook page, but you could just click on, they're all albums. You could see flyers, 99, 2000, 98, 97. So you can click on that.
Cool, man. I want to check them out. Like, yeah, I need to remember some stuff.
Yeah, because you guys will be in some of those too. Cool. All right, so last question. You both can go separately. What scene ethics do you hold on to this day?
I still believe in being... Oh, fuck. That's a kind of... I should be able to answer that straightforward, but I still hold on to the idea of just being a nice person every day and community, being friends with people, keeping friendships. I kind of, yeah, like...
It's a weird...
You want to answer that one?
Yeah, I don't know. I think that, like...
That's a common response, too, like the just don't be a dick and stuff. So you...
Yeah, I always say with... I always get asked that question from obviously being what I do now for a living, being an artist. Like, how would you... It's kind of the most annoying question, but it's always a question that is the last thing you do, which is like, oh, how would you... What advice would you give to younger people to be creative? And my answer is always like, keep drawing every day and just don't be a dick to people. Like, and I think that's come from being in a band and having that whole mentality of just doing things yourself and just being a nice person all around. So
yeah, but that's true, man. I mean, I think like, as far as being, graciously being like in a part of like a scene and stuff like this, what people call a scene, it's like you really learn the importance of being like true to yourself and being like respectful to people, and everyone's opinions count, and respecting that, and yeah, what Phil's saying, like just not being a dick, like, because we're all here together, whether your scene be like 5 people, 10 people, 50 people, 100 people, 2,000 people, wherever you come from, just be respectful of everyone and everything that you come across. Listen, talk, and learn these skills, and learn these like kind of things. But like, we're all on the same page. We're all trying to learn, like, get by and learn things, whether you're like 15, 20, 30, 40, 45, like I am now. Like, we're all on the same page. We're all trying to still keep learning, still be better people and stuff. And that's the most important thing. And, communities are one of the most important things, and
I also think that a lot of things that we learned from being in a band was to be respectful for other people. I think that was the most thing that we learned a lot of the way from, especially going to America and Canada and meeting new people and just being open-armed to their response to us, really kind of put a kind of thing in the heart where you're like,
stay humble, man.
Stay humble.
Regardless of anything, like whatever level of success I mean, Douglas was kind of like like a small band and stuff like this, but like simply the fact that you asked us and you reached out and to talk to us and stuff like this, and like ask us about a band and our memories of a band, although they might have been completely all over the place and we were going on crazy tangents and stuff like this. But man, that it really meant so much. It's like as I messaged you, I was like, I can't believe anyone actually cares about our band.
That's what I said when you messaged me, said Monkey got in touch. He said, "Would you want to do a podcast?" And I was like, "I've never done a podcast, and I've never even spoken about being in that band."
No.
Like, so
it's nuts, and like it just goes to show that it's like, you know, things stretch far, and like just appreciate every little moment you've got. And like, you know, I wanted Monkey messaged me, and you know, because you know yourself, Mike, wanted to have a chat, and I was like, that's fucking insane, you know, and like, let's bring Phil in, because like it's so much more of a conversation trying to piece it all together. And you know, even now, like, you know, like I started on a new job thing the other week, and some guy came up to me, was like, first day, was like, did you used to be in Douglas? And I'm like, oh fuck, shut up, dude. Like, and he's like, yeah, I was 15 and I came to see your last gig. And I'm like, that's fucking amazing. And you feel ridiculous at the time, because you're like, you know, I'm 45 now, you know, I'm still trying to find my career, you know, it's all got broken down. But like, and it's like, yeah, but that was a great moment for him. And like, you have to respect that. You have to stay humble. 100%. And like, you know, all the bands that we've met, all the people that we've met across the time, and like everything, like, especially, you know, I can't talk for like, you know, Nathan and Colin and Phil, Nathan, Colin and Ross, but like, it's been a progression of being in that band. 100%, right?
Yeah, I also think that...
have to respect that, and it's fucking awesome.
We're very lucky to have had that opportunity to go to America and go to New Jersey, and Tom to even...
give a shit. Anyone to give a shit. Like,
yeah, anyone to give a shit about a band from Wales was... because no one was kind of doing that in our scene, and to get that opportunity is incredible. Like, but I said, as much as I don't do music anymore, I always look back on those with fond memories, and it's something that someone else will never experience, going on tour at the age of 20, playing in East Coast of America and Canada. It's just, and doing it twice in 1 year as well, which was mental.